in today's session. All right, so before commencing, very quickly, can we all introduce ourselves? If you can hear me, your name, your university, your level, and your course of study. Thank you. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Hi, Hawwau. I can hear you.
All right, so I said if you're on the call, you can just introduce yourself. All right, Zainab, welcome. Can we start by introducing ourselves, your name, your university, your level, and your course of study? Zainab, Abiola, and Taufik Akimbo. You can hear me. Please go ahead.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, my name is Tijani Zainab Abiola. I graduated from Crescent University and I'm currently in the Nigerian Law School.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Taufik Babatunde Akimbo. I am a law graduate from Olabisi Onabanjo University. I recently completed my law school program at Nigerian Law School, Yenagua campus. So I am a bar aspirant. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Zainab and Taufik. I can imagine how your schedule is, right? Thank you so much for joining in. Muhammad Awal Zakari, could you please introduce yourself, your name, your university, if you're still in school, your level and your course of study? Thank you. All right, it seems Mohammed is not with us. Fatima Zahara or Ramalan? All right, it seems they're not here with us at the moment. As earlier stated, I'm Hawwau Mustapha, and I am a final year law student from Ahmad Bello University, Zaria. And hopefully by next year, I should be in the Nigerian Law School. Thank you. Okay, so again, assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to another impactful edition of NextGen's Open Door session, a space where we learn from Muslim professionals who break boundaries across various fields. Today, we are truly honored to be joined by Mubarak Raji, who is a candidate at the University of Illinois. He completed his degree at Bayero University, Kano. Our speaker is a legal and policy scholar who specializes in artificial intelligence governance, privacy, and tech policy. He has over 7 years of experience in corporate and commercial law and has represented multinational corporations in high-profile dispute. He also worked as an associate at Paul Usoro and Co., and also the High Court of Oyo State. Next slide, please. All right, then, very quickly, I think we could just commence while others join in the call. So, firstly, sir, to start off, could you share a bit about yourself, like taking us through your journey, your study in Nigeria, your experience working at prestigious law firms, and your current pursuit of a PhD in the United States?
Yeah, hi Mubarak. You are on mute.
Oh, sorry, I thought I unmuted myself. That's fine. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is a pleasure to be with you this morning or this afternoon. This afternoon. All praises and adoration to Allah, the Almighty, the greatest, for sparing our life today from the day we were conceived by our mothers. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah be on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companion, the companion of the companions, and the tabi'in and the entire Muslim Ummah. We seek our prayers for Muslims suffering across the globe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send them assistance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the sick the shifa. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers all our aspirations and answers our silent wishes. On point of that, I will start by saying I am Mubarak Raji. Yeah, that middle name mostly don't sound outside most time. I'm a Nigerian licensed lawyer. And alhamdulillah, I'm currently doing my doctoral program, as Awa said, at the University of Illinois School of Information Science, focusing more on technology policy, data governance, AI governance, and data protection. So trying to answer about a bit of myself. So that's just basically who I am. I majorly work with Paul Usoro. I did not work with High Court of Oyo State. I was just an extern in High Court of Oyo State and an extern with Chief Akintola SN law firms, both in Ibadan. But like my major legal career transferred is mostly to with Paul Usoro before I left Paul Usoro for the States. So yes, I work directly with Mr. Paul Usoro SN, the former MBA president, and we work together in a lot of a lot of eye-breaking cases. You can see representing ExxonMobil corporations and oil disputes, especially in Niger Delta region, and successfully representing ExxonMobil Corporation Houston, alhamdulillah, and some other host of matters, a lot of matters that draw attention to the media, and alhamdulillah, we represent together and work together. So I work directly with Mr. Paul Soros and a lot of brilliant lawyers back then in Lagos. Lagos and all our offices in Uyo and Abuja. My experience, I think I have a interesting experience because when I started out mostly Polusoro is most of a commercial law firm, and one of the, as far as communication law is concerned, is number one rated, having been the law firm that drafted the Nigerian communication Act, and also a lot of laws related to maritime. So, but like having the law firm that draft Nigerian Communication Act and every other laws or anything that talks about technology in Nigeria builds upon the fulcrum of the communication law. So like I had a chance of working directly with the person that transgress us to the use of GSM in Nigeria, that mix of regulations. And I think that's where my interest starts from, as relates to things that relate to technology. I was a commercial litigator, more or less of a, we don't usually classify it like that in Nigeria, but in real sense, I was more or less of a defense attorney. I barely represent plaintiffs. I can maybe like 3 or 4 plaintiffs I've ever represented in my life. And so, except apparently the pro bono cases that I'm doing outside law firm, or like I'm doing just with other colleagues outside, like everywhere. I still do a lot of pro bono cases with people across Nigeria. So like I'm more or less about defense, Anthony. I defend corporations. I work for corporations. I advise corporations mostly on matters related to corporate law, commercial law, banking and finance, capital market, fast-moving consumer goods, intellectual property, taxation, and a lot of things related to commercial disputes involving millions of dollars and billions of nairas. So that's what I do most for my destiny. I did not go start PhD like that. I think I just came to the United States for my master's in law and open to return back to Nigeria the following year just to proceed to my legal career. And I was hoping to be like at least a partner in the law firm before 30, or like at worst by 32, 35. But interest changed. I started reading a lot of things about it. It was when ChatGPT was just released, and I switched to apply for PhD with mostly initially to focus on data privacy or data protection, and that's why from there AI governance starts to be a trending thing, has been very impactful things. AI ethics is the important issue everywhere in the world. How to regulate use of AI and all these kind of things. So that's why I started working on AI governance, and that's why my career shifted from a courtroom commercial lawyer and an advisory lawyer down to a researcher and a PhD candidate, alhamdulillah. So that's just brief intro about myself.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's a very, very rich and wonderful profile you have there, sir. Okay, I would like to take you back, right? What led you to choose law as your field of study? Was it as a result of your lifelong ambition, or did your interest in law develop over time? Because I know a lot of people who just went into law, they don't really know what they want to do, they just went into it, and then the interest sort of developed over time. So we want to know what led you to study law in the first place. Has it always been your ambition, or did it just develop along the line?
Okay. Interestingly, when I was in nursery school, and when you do all this kind of career day, my memory served me right, and I think one of the things I said I want to do, I want to be a lawyer. And back then when I was young, people say I used to talk a lot, like that Elejo Yanie, sorry to speak in Yoruba, like this kind of things. But and my interests, like details, like I used to talk a lot, blah blah blah. You be a lawyer, blah blah blah, But like I did not know whether I want to do it or that then. Then along the line, I was I along the line, when we have a different kind of transitions in life. So I left elementary school, primary school, moved to secondary school. Then when I was in GS3, that one is a pivotal point of any lawyer's life. I mean, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going any kind of career choice, you're going to in a Nigerian system, necessarily in United States, for example, it does not really matters what you do in high school. You can easily switch careers from anything in the United States. I've seen people that are like medical doctors, they are lawyers, and they are nurses, they are lawyers, they're engineers, they are lawyers. Like you can be I've met across not one, not two. They are lawyers by profession, and they're also medical doctors. So, but in Nigeria, it's a different case. You have to figure out whether you want to be in arts, commercial, or sciences. We're limiting our choices, which is not good. I think it's a very bad orientation that we need to change as a country, or limiting us to things that we need to know or to explore our lives upon. So I decided to study law. I had a friend then, he died in 2011. His name is Mubarak, and we translate a lot of things together. We read a lot of books together as a young kids. And his own father was a lawyer. My father was a trader, as a businessman and a trader. So like, I don't have a law background or like any law of lawyers in my family that I look up to. So like, we decided like we want to study law together. I think so. I figured it out when GS3 because going to art class would be very pivotal for me to like studying law. Then also I don't like some science courses. Like I'm usually afraid of chemistry and biology. I was considering to be a pharmacist or a civil engineer, but like I was not so that good in chemistry and biology, and I was trying to run away from those two courses. So instead, I switched to arts class, and that's why I started joining to study law. Alhamdulillah. So I only applied to one. I wrote only one JAMB, and I applied to only one Bio University as my first and only choice. to study law, and I went to Alhamdulillah. Immediately I left high school, secondary school. The following academic section, I joined Bayero University as a student, at least one of the youngest folks in my class back then in Bayero. And anybody from Bayero who know, they may not know, but like, yeah, I know, at least I know my own age bracket, I know my age caucus and age faction and age groups. So law has been something like it's very inspiring, you know, like I interested to do since when I was young. And I could recall when I was telling my dad back then I want to study law in 2011. Was it 2011? Yeah, I think it was 2011. And I could tell you in the living room that yes, I want to study law, yes. And I was telling him like, okay, I'll also study like common and Islamic law that will give me knowledge about the conventional law and also Islamic law. And he was so happy about to hear the Islamic law aspect of it. Yeah, that's a good choice, you know. Yeah, because we have to do things not about this world, also we have to do this thing about Akhira. We have to teach about our life. We also do things within the confines of Islam. We should not do things against Islam. So like, so even if you're a lawyer, you remember that you are responsible to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question you about your deeds. So that's one of the things I was able to use to convince him that I want to study law, and that's how the journey of law begins. And alhamdulillah so far. So it has been a long line of vision of a thing for me.
Okay, so that's very wonderful to
Sorry,
hear.
let me also add,
Okay.
let me also add one thing. You know, you talked about like some people law may not be of interest, but like they develop interest along the line. And let me add this one emphatically. Even some people, their parents, you know, like the nature of Nigerian parents, or like nature of probably parents or like uncles or like people that influence or pay for their institutions, or say, yeah, you must study law, or they choose the course for them. Let me say this at this point. Even if they force you to study law, one of the greatest disservice you do for yourself is not to take it serious. Even if you're not going to practice law, just know it. Just imbibe it, know it. Strive everything you can do in your life to understand it. You may not have the interest, but at least continue reading and ensuring you are passing and you're excelling. One thing I can tell you for sure is you won't know when it's going to be relevant for you in life. That's one thing unique about law, because there is no places you are going in this life, anywhere you are reaching in this life, you must need something that relates to law, ethics, principles, or policies. Unfortunately, the system in Nigeria is not as that great. But I can tell you, for example, in United States, for example, there is no aspect of anything you cannot get involved in law. For example, from leasing or renting an apartment, it involves contract review, down to healthcare, down to insurance, down to everything you want to talk about. So it involves a lot of laws and policies. So like it's an interesting thing aspect of it. So like even if they force you to study law, one thing I tell people and I tell my classmates is try to do it. At the end of the day, you can choose to go and do something you want to go and do again in future, but like the success you have in law, like the achievement or like the way you build yourself as a lawyer, yeah, or a law student or a law graduate can help you, and you can pass that skills to any other profession in this world. So thank you on that note.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I love the fact that you included that last part when you were answering your questions, because personally for me, I don't know if others on the call, I actually went into arts because I didn't want to have anything to do with calculations. So I left all of the departments that had to do with calculations. And then I was like, okay, arts is the best option for me. And even when I went there, I initially wanted mass comm, but then my dad wanted me to study law. So I came in 100 level with no clarity at all until later when I finally decided, okay, this is the niche I want to cover for myself. So it's really exciting to know that there are actually people out there who have always wanted to become lawyers. Thank you so much, sir. All right, moving to the next question. So you have moved from practicing law into areas like tech policy and AI research that are still developing here in Nigeria within the Nigerian context, because I know in other countries they are full blown, right? But then here in Nigeria, they're still developing. So we want to know what motivated you to explore this area, even knowing that it's still a budding area here in Nigeria.
Okay, I think my motivation starts with my work at Polusoro, because I do not like any other people, and I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be biased, but I think I'm very sorry to say this. Many of us that we study law up the River Niger, I mean northern Nigeria, and I'm sorry to say this, but I'm being factual. Many of us don't have that clarity compared to people that study law down south. I mean, University of Lagos, UI, Obafemi Awolowo University. So because I don't have that clarity, and I've said it to many of my mentees or like on platforms that I've spoken years ago, that we don't have that clarity. I don't have the clarity. I don't even know what to do. For example, I met a girl in law school back then. She's now a lawyer in Canada now. She's licensed to practice law in Canada now. And I think she wants one of the big law firms in the world. And she knew that she wanted to be a tax practitioner or a tax lawyer ever since she was in Unilag. And I met a lot of friends like that, like they want to be in technology policy or like technology, media, and entertainment, technology, media, and entertainment law. Like I met some of the people like that, and they're still doing it up to date. So like I figured out like I don't even have the clarity. So when I started out as a full-blown commercial Anthony. Do everything that comes your way. Every damn thing, insofar as commercial law, from labor and employment law. I don't take labor law in school. To IP, I don't take IP even when I was in uni. To capital markets, litigations. Yes, one of the most complex fraud issues in capital market. I think I was involved. I was representing the big players there trying to protect their interests and trying to show that this guy is a culprit that we need to deal with in the capital markets. So capital markets, banking and finance. I represent a lot of banks. I work directly with many MDs, many general counsel, many company secretaries, and I speak directly to them in boardrooms and like in meetings. And it's a fortunate and unfortunate thing back then in the meetings. When I started out, I was one of the most at some point I was the most junior in Polusoro. And when we're starting meetings, I will be the first to talk on any legal issues. If you're seeking your opinion, I'll be the first to talk. So imagine like you have to be prepared in many things because you'll be the first to talk. And sometimes it's a meeting where you see big people's senior advocate of Nigeria's, you see directors, executive directors of companies, chairmans of company. You don't want to mess up. So it transfers down to fast moving consumer goods. And when I mean fast moving consumer goods, I mean companies like Pizza, Unilever, NextGen. Those are the complaints and the FMCG's complaints. They call them FMCG's complaints in Nigeria. So down to all these kind of things. So like I was involved in a lot of disputes, commercial disputes. So like I had an area experiences in many things, from technology law to commercial law to banking to data protection. Now, when I got my master's admission was to strictly corporate and commercial law. Then around that period, I started doing cases on privacy, like 2 or 3 cases on privacy. And one of the cases I did on privacy, interestingly, one of the most versatile lawyers on data protection and privacy in Nigeria today was representing a co-defendant. Interestingly, he lost his own case and I won my own case. But like after drafting the case, I was shuffling between Lagos, Abuja, and I was going for a wedding in Kaduna at that period, and I was on the move trying to work on that case, most part of that case. And I keep looking at the case and I was like, this issue of data privacy will be the next future of Nigeria. And if many people are not careful with the issue of compliance, the liability is huge. That was one thing. Some pre-2019, there was one thing that happened in Nigeria. I won't tell you the full incidents, but like we were to represent or like advise a consortium of banks on issue of data privacy and how to protect their customers, bank customers, and all that kind of things. So that 2019 was my first interest, or like exposure to data protection. And when we talk about AI governance or AI generally, I mean AI policy or ethics generally, the first things we talk about is data protection, because most of the things that comes about AI governance these days, or even people that are like in that sector, are people that started out from data privacy. So I started out with data protection, advice on people on data protection. When data protection was not a big thing in Nigeria, now it's coming to be a big thing. So, and we do a lot of research on it, read a lot of foreign jurisdiction case and apply to it. And so like about 3 or 4 different cases within the span of 6 months, like in 2021, I was like, this is going to be a big thing. And like, I was even involved in the sentiment of one, and I was like, okay, this is going to be the next area of technology, and it's going to be a booming area. Back then, everybody wants to be an oil and gas lawyer when oil and gas was the booming thing, whether in Houston, whether in Lagos, whether in Dubai, whether in Riyadh. So like I was like, this is going to be the next thing, future of things. So that was one of the things that motivates me. How my legal education prepared me for this? Yes. As a lawyer, you have to be analytical and you have to be able to do research. One thing is, whenever I confront any legal issues, whether I And even though in the United States, for example, they specialize a lot. People do in specialties. Tell someone that I'm an immigration attorney, even someone that is doing family law, they'll tell you that I don't do contested divorce. I'm a family law lawyer, but I don't do contested divorce. Like it has to be divorce that is not contested, or like it has to be prenup, those kind of things. So it was a different case in Nigeria. We are more or less of a jack of all trade, especially at the early stage before we see a clear picture of what we want to do in life. So I started out like that. So when I was doing cases on data protection, I realized it's a unique thing. I barely know anything about it. So I have to sit down in the library for many days to read what is all these policies got about, what is all this principle of data protection got about, what is the right of every individual under the data protection laws. And interestingly, the European Union General Data Protection Regulation 2019 was around the same period I started out. So it was a big thing. Nigeria also have their NDPR 2019, then issued by NECTDA. People were challenging legality of NECTDA, NDPR back then, and all those kind of things. So like that was when I started looking at some of those things stylishly and small, while I still do my core commercial litigation work and do all those kind of things and representing clients across several courts in Nigeria. I think that's where I start picking up interest in it. Then I apply my research skills I've learned right from the days of Bayero. When I was in Bayero, I can say I'm a local champion. I can say it, I'm a local champion. I was a very good motor. You see me in almost every moot competition inside Bayero, every debate competition. You see me up and down there doing all those kind of things. And through that things, even before I started taking criminal law class in level 3, by level 2, I already know a lot of basic things in criminal law because I've done a lot of research. So my research skills was very good. Not being trying to be proud or modest. Yeah, like my research skills was very good. I can easily spot cases. I know when to apply particular cases. I know when this case have to be distinguished. I know when, even though the case may talk on the same things, but like I can tell you, like this case is not applicable in this second set of cases. So I think I have that basis from Bayero already. So I applied to when we're talking about data protection, and I think that's where we start capping up. Even though foreign jurisdictions, foreign cases are not persuasive authorities in Nigeria, but I was able to transcend into see how we can use it for meaningful things in Nigeria. That's how I started working on issue of technology ethics. So back then to when I was doing masters in University of Illinois College of Law, I took classes in Fourth Amendment, technology, and privacy. I also took classes in law and policy issues in computer science. And that's where I think my interest starts to increase. And which other classes I took on? I took classes on IP and some other classes, but like some of those things, and that's where my interest trying to align. Then two, I subscribe to many internet policy, technology policy newsletters, either through email or through LinkedIn, or I follow many of those people or people that work on this space on social media everywhere in the world, Nigeria, Asia, EU, United States, and you read what they put out there. So from there, I was able to form some informed opinion on some of these kind of issues. But one thing I know for sure is my legal background was giving me to understand or comprehend some of this kind of dance law, of many of these laws and many of these policies. Interestingly, also in the summer 3 years ago, summer of 2022, I took a summer class at Stockholm University, which introduced me to European Union law and how the European Union system works. So that also solidified my idea about EU GDPR, which has like a Brazil effect. There is one thing we call Brazil effect. Brazil effect is how the EU influenced the entire regulations and laws and policy on every other things in the entire world, ranging from data protection down to AI governance or AI policy, down to ESG, environmental sustainability and governance, then to climate change and some other things. So that is what I know Bradford called Brussels effect. So I was able to comprehend some of those things in Brussels effect, and European Union is a key player in technology policy anywhere in the world. All of us know that. So even they influence the law, their laws is what everybody copied. That's what we call Brussels effect of Brussels effects. So that will also solidify my idea and all these kind of things about law and technology policy. And that's why I started building my scholarship. My first paper is out. Yeah, my first paper is out in May on data protection in Africa, enforcement of data protection in Africa, which everybody needs to take seriously because of things that's coming up. And I think I have a lot of paper on data protection and deepfake that will be presented in September in American University College of Law in Washington, D.C. I have another paper chapter coming up in the book on governing artificial intelligence in majority of the world. I think it will be published in a book in a book in in Sweden. Yes, in Sweden, coming up probably later this year. So that's how I started my scholarship in, but my legal education, both the one I learned directly or indirectly in Bayrou, down to directly or indirectly in law school, working with Polusoro, SAN, of course, who is the first person and that drafted the Nigerian Communication Act. Some of those things solidified, and it's a process, it's a gradual process. It's not a day job. So it's a gradual process.
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't know about the other participants in this call, but then I've been glued right from the beginning because I'm wowed. I am very, 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 very impressed with everything, and I think this is something I would want to go into also. Okay, so you've spoken about data protection, tech, AI. Aside from this this aspect, right? Aside from these sectors, do you think there are other areas that law students who will eventually become lawyers can explore? Because a lot of law students are kind of unsure about their future prospect. You ask them what they want to do, and then all they're interested in is just acquiring their certificate, and they believe that, okay, everything, they would see how everything will turn out to be. So are there other areas, other burden areas that you feel law students should start looking into, just like you had done then?
You see, there are 1,000,001, and I'm not trying to exaggerate this. There are 1,000,001 thing that you can do as a lawyer, and I mean it. 1,000,001 thing. So let me start this. I think the first problem we all have, and I'm saying this from my own perspective because it happens to me also, we think law, everything about law is litigation. And I think I'm challenging Muslims, and I won't mention a particular creed, that discourage people to study law because they think law is a bad profession, is a profession of liars. It's a very, so I have this, someone that specially faced me an attack on this before in the masjid, and I tell them that we should not wait until when we need lawyers that we should have more Muslim lawyers, or we should encourage Muslims to practice law. Law does not involve litigation only. You don't have to lie. In fact, you don't have to enter the fulcrum of courtroom other than extension period to be successful in the law in Nigeria. One of the persons I used to read about is Gbenga Oyebode. Maybe he has been a litigator before in his early life, or Banwa and Igodalo, for example. Maybe two of them have been either Mr. Femi Banwa or Mr. House Igodalo have been a litigator before in their early career. But like all of us know, they are not litigators. They are successful corporate lawyers. If you're talking about successful corporate lawyer in Nigeria, I think Mr. Gbenga Oyebode will come to mind because he sits on the boards of many banks. He was any pioneers of people on the board of MTN. It was mentioned all those big companies you want to mention about. If you hear about this palm oil, what's the name of this palm oil? For anybody that use palm oil very well, there is this palm oil. I've forgotten the name, but there's this palm oil from Niger Delta. It's one of the best palm oil. You said Okumu oil. Okumu oil. If you go to the capital market, go and look at the shares, how good the shares of Okumu oil is. You will not believe it. And it sits on their board for many years. I don't know if they're chairman now. And he's a successful lawyer. This man that died last year or last 2 years before his son also died in the aircraft in Nevada last year with Abatu. May Lord rest their souls. What's his name? I want to remember his name. He's a lawyer we call him the godfather of corporate law in Nigeria. I've forgotten his name. His law firm is in Lagos Island, opposite Udodoma Bilo Sage. I've forgotten his name. If you look at and I've read about some of those people. Can anybody remind me? Oh no, I'll get a name later. One thing I want to tell you about not Akintoye, is Chris Ogumbanjo, Chief Chris Ogumbanjo. If you want to look at life of Chris Ogumbanjo, and I'll start with that. Chris Ogumbanjo was not a litigator, was a politician, was a First Republic politician, was a guru. It's not a litigator, it's law firm. I don't know whether they do litigation, but like they are not litigation law firms. But there is dimension to law other than litigations. The case of Amasa Fridaus, the case of issue of hijabs, a lot of things that happens to even we Muslims in the entire globe. The case of South Africa suing Israel at the International Court of Justice have tell us Muslims that we need lawyers among us. So if anybody telling you that lawyer is a job of liars, tell them it's what you do with your law job. It is what you do with your law job. Like what is important is in any profession you do, There are issue of ethical issues, and what you do is what is paramount, not the profession. So there is nothing wrong with law. I need to say that one. And I say it at any platform. I don't want to know what kind of scholar you are in Islam. I will tell you this. It is what you do with your law job that is paramount. Law is not a profession of liars. Starting from there. So now there are very dimensions to law. You can work as many things as a lawyer. Unfortunately, the system is also that encouraging Nigeria. I have to admit that. But we can shape the system of what we want. Now, for example, there are different dimensions to law. You can be a lawyer, a court-going lawyer. You can be a plaintiff lawyer. You can be a defense lawyer. I was more or less of a defense lawyer. I was in all the 3 or 4 cases I was plaintiff. I pity those defendants myself because they saw hell. Because I was using all my defense experience to be the plaintiffs. Like one of them was, in fact, I had like 3 or 4 senior advocates. He went to defend cause. Whenever we heard that he has gotten he was trying to get an injunction, we'll file our own motion, counter him. Like it was so crazy that at the end of the day, after he lost someone, you have to come and back to settle. Like, I need to settle this matter once and for all because we dealt with him. I won't lie, we dealt with him seriously because we are telling you this is the principle of law. You cannot run away from it. So, like, law is beyond litigations. You can be an in-house counsel. You can be just a contract review analyst. You can be an IP intellectual property specialist. One thing about intellectual property is that even writing patents is one aspect of intellectual property. It's like kind of industrial design. I will look up to you for you to go look deeper on that. But like writing patents is not a specialty people knows how to do in Nigeria, for example. I've seen even big laws looking for people that can write this in Nigeria and they can't find. They have to look for people abroad. So writing some of these things, although it involves issue of law and engineering, it involves law and engineering. And I'll come back to what Hawwau said about mathematics. It's also erroneous to think you don't need mathematics in your life. I learned in the later hours. In fact, I learned it in level 1 in BUK. So, but like law is so dynamic, it's so dimensional, like it's so dynamic. You can be in earth law, you can be in corporate law, you can be in taxation, you can be a compliance specialist, you can be a contract specialist. I've seen people doing contract specialists as work in Lagos. They just review contracts, they tell you opinions on contracts. You can be many things. You can be in sports law. I've seen people going into sport law and they go far as from starting small from Nigeria down to be negotiator for people that are trying to sign up in Europe or moving to the US and trying to be representing or working for college athletes. You know, in the United States, college athleticism is a big game. If you are very good in playing basketball, as a student, you enter the university will give you admission based on that, and you go to school for free. So like it's a different thing, like it's a very broad game. Like so like people have done some of this kind of massive things that you can never think about. You can be a researcher, you can be an academician, you can be an in-house, you can be many things with law profession. So I understand we don't have the directions. All of us cannot have the direction. I try not to text about specialty now. I try to speak about different things you can do. You can be a government, Anthony. You choose to work for governments. You can be a policy advisor. You advise law. You can be a legal drafter. You can do many things with law. I said it without modesty. Like we anything, you can be many things as far as law is concerned. So you can do anything with law. But one thing is sometimes you don't have the direction. One thing that will surely help you is anything you are doing, try to give your best. Because all this experience counts. Anything you are doing, try to give your best and for example, if you don't, for example, I know a lot of people, even you can also be in Islamic finance. I just remember because up to the last moment I left Nigeria, if Islamic finance company that I applied to, I was still waiting if they reach back to me for a job and they gave me the job. I was thinking I may not have even left when I left because I was so interested in that job, for example. And if you look at some of this, for example, before joining this meeting, I just noticed that is it Taj Bank? They just opened their shukuk for Mudaraba. And I was looking at the rating agencies, Augusto and Co. I know Capital One C, owned by Atairu Machido, was also involved. All these kind of things. But down the heart, let's look at it. How many Islamic finance experts, law experts, do we have in Nigeria that are Muslims? Most of the top guys in these sectors, they are non-Muslim. And that's one thing that is a lot of things we can even focus on. I'm not even talking about being a Muslim, like for now. You can be a Mudaraba specialist. You can be into capital markets, trying to help capital market agencies, especially from some of you that are the minors in Islamic law, like me, or like you took law and Islamic law. from schools like Bayero, ABU, LASUT, Unilorin, Usman Danfodio, or University of Maiduguri, you have a double advantage. But it's left to you how you want to use it. I know some people in Bayero, we used to have an actually certification in Islamic banking and finance. I had it when I was in Bayero, and I know a lot of people follow suit. So like you can do many things you like. For example, it's a big thing in capital markets. A lot of lawyers will come to you to like understand the issue of Mudaraba. What does Mudaraba talk about? What does Musharaka talk about? I have a colleague, she's not in the UK. She works a lot of Islamic finance stuff. She's not even a Muslim, but she went to Unilorin. And I think she took Islamic law of contracts, she took Islamic complaint law and all these kind of related complaint classes. And who used to merge it to his normal contract or capital market deals. When you're talking about deals, in Nigeria now, Nigerian government do a lot of shukuk. It's a capital market thing, but you have to understand a lot of Islamic finance stuff. When I mean Islamic finance, it's not a big finance stuff. You can just understand a little basic things about finance, and you do it. You work together with professionals. You work together with qualified chartered accountants, investment bankers. So like it's a thing that you need to know. Like this, so like we can diversify. There are a lot of things we can do as a lawyer, so we should not limit ourselves and don't limit ourselves to litigation. I understand that you may not understand some of this thing now, or like you don't even know how to get into it now. It's fine. Even if it's moot and mock, you know how to do best now. Try your best. If it's legal research, you can do best now. Try your best. Anything you do, try to do the best out of it, because at the end of the day, it is a stepping stone to some other things. And one thing you need to do is, at the end of the day, you may be able to like transfer those skills you've previously acquired in a job to another skills. That is what is important. And be trainable. Many people, I was in a program some weeks ago, and the woman was talking about, it's a professional program, it's a program about human capital, human development, to understand yourself better. It's a leadership program also, and we're talking about how to train us to understand ourselves better. And she was like, sometimes if you want to hire, I would just want to know your previous experience, whether you are teachable. Be teachable. Be teachable. Like sometimes you don't even have to a basic knowledge about something. Just tell them, this is the knowledge I have, this is the passion I have for this thing, and I want to move on. That's all. Nobody's an expert sometimes, but you learn along the line. Be teachable and be you have organization skills. These are some of the things that are important in organization skills, and be able to interrelate and communicate with people. Like you try to watch your environments, try to work your environment, speak to people, try to relate with people, all these kind of things. Like that's one of the skills that influence a lot of things about the career. So like course going is not the only thing law does. We can do many things and many things. Someone is raising up their hand. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
please, if you have any questions, I think you can wait till it's time for the question and answer session, and then you can ask your, okay, it's the host. All right, you can go ahead.
No, it's not the host. It's not the host. Can you try to rename from, I know many people have their name as NextGen program. It would be good if you can rename yourself. Just go to like probably like participants and click on your name and try to rename yourself. So yeah, try to rename yourself.
All right, please kindly do that. And if you have any questions, kindly hold on to them. When we are done with this session, we're going to move into the question and answer session, and then you'll be given the floor to ask whatever question you have. Or better still, you can drop it in the chat box, and then when we are done, we'll refer to it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for walking us through the diverse areas that law students can explore. Personally, I've been able to learn a lot from the response you have given. And I would like to ask a question based on internships. Some law students are very interested in internships, networking, writing, acquiring skills, and all of that. But then the opportunities are usually limited. I know lots of law students who have applied for internships, but they've not been able to get into one way or the other. And sometimes it's really demoralizing. So what advice do you have for these students? Because there are lots of undergraduates on this call, and I think they'll be really interested in hearing your response to this question.
Unfortunately, when I was undergrad, I did not do internship. Well, it's basically because when I was on breaks, I faced family business. I said earlier, my father was a businessman, alhamdulillah. So I faced family business and support my eldest brother who is handling the family business. So like most times I spend my holidays on family business, which one way or the other, I was able to transfer the skills in a particular interview some years ago to speak about it. But one thing I can tell you about internship is the fulcrum or success of many law careers or like striving careers we see online today. And we cannot overemphasize the importance of internship in the life of the students. We cannot overemphasize it. I know some university, even like Osun State University, make it mandatory for their law students to go to internship, and some private universities I know of backup because I call some backup students came to my law firm for their internship then. One thing about internship is sometimes some law firms have and yeah, I've heard about a lot too. One thing about internship is this. There are several approaches to internship. One is some law firms call for applications. They call for applications. You apply and they pick people. I know Olaniwa even used to have one that like it's unpaid, and they will like try to invite a lot of people, even virtual. They are like virtual experience. That's two. Now, how to get internship? First starts with you applying for internship in my law firm. I checked you on LinkedIn. I checked you on Facebook. I checked you on Instagram. You are not following us. That's the first issue we have to start from. And it happens to me. I applied for a job like 3 years ago, and I realized that they come check me on LinkedIn from that organization. I'm not following them. I was like, Mubarak. It's a learning experience for me. So first is follow some of these law firms on social media. You get up to date about their activities, they project what they do, and things that happen in the organizations. They update, send newsletter, follow them, make an interesting comment about it. Like make an interesting comment. I'm not saying you should watch them or like to praise them. Like make an interesting comment that somebody will come and look at, who is this guy? Follow the partners of many of these law firms, especially if you cannot have a chance to meet them one-on-one. Follow them online. Follow them online. When they make a comment, be polite. You can disagree with someone and be polite. And I think that's one thing I have issues with many law students. Like many people, you see them doing a lot of things on Instagram and TikTok. They are saying they are not getting internship. Are you using your data right? Are you using your data to do the right thing? So that's one thing I think we'll start from. How do you use your data? How do you project yourself? So one way to do it is follow all of these law firms, follow their partners. You don't follow them only. Make comments on their status. Make comment on their status. When they post something, make comments, write your own opinion about it, or write your opinion about it. You can disagree with them. But you have to do it politely, because one thing is I see a lot of people, and it's very common on Twitter. Small thing you realize it's so annoying when you realize that some of even these people are like undergrad, and I was like, wait, an undergrad is abusing somebody like this. You can disagree with somebody, but you don't have to be rude. I'm sorry to use that word, but like that's the reality of it. And I think whenever I speak to undergrad, as someone who have taught more than 300 to 400 Gen Z students in the last couple of years, I think like I've been in the right position to tell you like the way you put yourself out on the social media is also very important. I know a lot of people did not get hired for a role because they've harassed or like they've previously abused somebody who is sorting out the CVs in the past. I was on a committee of I can't say it's a scholarship, but when they increased law school, when they increased school fees some 2 years or 3 years ago in Nigeria, everybody don't know how to pay school fees. So everybody has to rally around, and I was on a committee to get some students I was even chairing the fundraising. And when I was going through the list, I saw the name of a person. The first thing that came to my mind was, wait, is this girl not among the girls that used to abuse people on social media? That was the first thing that came to my mind. But because I was trained a lot in ethics, I was trained a lot to manage your biases. Even when you see a lot of biases, you should not protect your biases when you make a professional judgment. That thing came to my mind like, I'm a Mubarak. And I do bias training almost every year. Like almost every year by September now, they'll start running after me to come and do bias training. So I was able to like, okay, don't let me pay attention to that because that's a bias. I end up even not going to social media again without it. Like what we can do, we do it for stability. We do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's going to reward her, and that's it. But not everybody that can even have that understanding on working on their biases, and you have to work with this. And that's the reality of it. So what you put out there, the first thing very important. Now you write. Another way to grasp internship is writing. I've seen a lot of my mentees, and some of them on this call, I won't mention their name, and many of them have even told me in the past, like for example, they wrote something on a particular issues, There is even particular one, I will mention the name of the lawyer, and he told me that Femi Falana reached out to him after he make a commentary on a particular case. Some of those kind of things, when you write often, law firm sees it, their partner sees it, and they get interest in you. So that's another way to go about it. And also publicize yourself. I'm still struggling with it. It's something that I faced, and I will tell you the reality of it. And I've seen a lot of friends that even I advise to them use this approach and work hard for them. Publicize yourself. If you're on LinkedIn, try to write about burning thing, write your simple opinion, 2 or 3 paragraphs on LinkedIn. If you don't, if you cannot write for a blog or publish your article on a blog, that's, or I mean on a law blog, write your opinion about something. You don't have to be polite, you don't have to be rude. Just write your opinion. It's a legal opinion. Give your analysis, fantastic analysis about it, and people will see it. You are putting yourself out there. So one way to approach this thing is to put yourself out there. That's some of the reasons why people are not getting back to you. Then 2, do you even know the process of applying for internship of this law firm? There are some internship law firms that they have period in which they recruit interns, like they accept interns. They don't accept interns after a particular period. And unfortunately, the academic calendars of Nigerian university is very annoying. It's not like here, for example, year by year, all of us know, like from mid of May down to mid of August, most universities in the United States are on summer break. From June to September, most university in the UK are on summer breaks. And most people do internship in those, most organizations recruit internship in this period. But unfortunately, Nigeria system is whack, except maybe private university and some free universities that have a regular calendar that you can know when they are going to be on the summer break, that they accept internship or summer job. It is a bit whack. So it's very annoying, I know, but we still have to travel. So one thing you do is put yourself out there, right? Connect with the partners or people that is not even my partner, even common associates in these organizations. They can tell you some of these things that will tell you like this and this. And also something that is very, I don't know, for at least for Bairo, it's not so that good. Alhamdulillah, some of my colleagues were coming up to address some of these issues, is alumni of your universities. People have bias for alumni of their university, and I can say it anywhere in the world. Even in the almighty United States, that the way people put it out there, people use the alumni link whenever you're recruiting or like looking for job or something in an organization. You look out to LinkedIn, who has went to my school out of it. Like it helps a lot because, oh, for example, because I went to University of Illinois, somebody reached out to me, saw me know my name on the name of a conference attendees. I mean, registered attendees for a conference, and they reached out to me that, would you like to meet for dinner? Just because I'm a student of U of I, University of Illinois. So it's as easy as that. So work on your alumni, reach out to them, have a good rapport with them. Don't waste your time. Sometimes don't go and ask them for money. Sometimes people will not answer you, like build rapport with them. Even if they will help you financially later in life, but don't go straight to go to people's DMs to go and ask them for money. They will not take you serious. Like try to pitch things to them and try to tell them how you're also valuable. Try to talk about your research experience. For example, just your most and more competition you are doing in universities alone. Put it out there. People are watching. You won't know. You will never know who is watching you. That's one thing I know. You will never know. Somebody was greeting me, congratulations on being a PhD candidate yesterday morning when I was coming back from jogging and morning exercise. And I was like, and he was like, he saw it on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, is that true? That's something I posted like 2 or 3 months. I mean, 1 month or some weeks, 6, 7 weeks ago. So like, put yourself out there. That's some of the ways to address these issues. Then another thing is when you send a mail, for example, your LinkedIn mail, for example, or mail for application for internship, and it did not get back to you, and you live in that town where the organization is, walk to their law firm, go and ask them. I know law firms in Ibadan. I know law firms in Lagos that when you apply online, follow up physically sometimes. They will like, his trouble is too much. Let's accept him. At the end of the day, the goal is for you to get there. Insofar you're doing something legal, you're not doing something illegal. The ultimate goal is to get into the internship space. So like there's not one-way traffic about to get it. There are different ways to get it, but like that's some of the things I think people that's probably when I previously where I work, the way we recruited them, that's one thing I tell. And you can't even tell your network, even people that you know. For example, you have a mentor. Your mentor even can help you to speak to somebody, or like, oh, I have a mentee that wants to do internship here, blah blah blah, and they will like help you to reach out to them. Like, I want to do my internship here, and it's also like bench on your network. People will tell it is what they call it. They will call it is connection. Yes, use your connection anywhere in the world. For you to get a big IR role in the US, you need network. I'm telling you this. Is even better in Nigeria. Your network is very important. So build your network and also be your friend's keeper. You see, one thing I tell my colleagues and I tell myself is you cannot succeed alone. And when you succeed alone, you are not a successful person. But when you're successful when you succeed and your colleagues also succeed. Some people try to keep information from their friends, their classmates, because they want to be better. No, you cannot be successful. There is a particular group of law students, lawyers, young lawyers. I look up to them. They are my juniors, but I look up to them. You know why? They click and they carry each other along. Even when one of them went for masters in Stanford, the other went to Oxford, they work in the same law firm now. Some people may have known them. But I look at how they carry them along, each other along as a team, and they excel together. It is very, very important. Your classmates today can be your helper tomorrow in life. I got a job through a referral of a classmate that we were in bio together, that we were in groups together, we were in law school together. I got classmates to refer us to them. Then your RSO, sorry, we call it RSO mostly in the United States, your association, your law firm, chambers, and your activities. It's also a places to bridge the gap, to also a place to meet people that can connect you to get some of these things. For example, I know, and I'll share your experience with what RSOs, student organization does in the United States. And I know a lot of student organization in Unilag, for example, do it, and even OAU and UI do it a lot. They try to reach out to their mentors, they try to connect with people, they try to connect with big people, and they try to place they had a partnership with them, and they try to place their students or their members to internship over there. So you can also approach it in a group way so that you can place your colleagues in some of those kind of law firms. So there are many ways to go about it. It's not a one-way traffic. Just like Justice Oputa will say, justice is a three-way traffic. So it's not a one-way traffic, and there are many dimensions to it that you can do it. I hope I answered those questions.
Yes, I have. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, sir, for I am sure a lot of us have gotten a lot of clarity now that is going to guide our applications subsequently to these law firms. All right, so moving to the last question. I'm sure our participants have a truckload of questions to ask you also. So before we move into the question and answer segment, if you had any chance to relive your undergraduate experience, what is that one thing you're going to change? What is that one thing you're going to do that you did not do? And what are the things you're going to avoid doing?
You see, what are the things I would do differently? First, putting myself out there. And some of my classmates are on this call, and they can attest to that. I'm a private and shy person. I'm an extremely private and shy person. You won't even know my next move. Like, you won't know my next move. I'm a private and shy person. My first year as a law student, my first month, I was trembling. After some minutes, I was like, when many of my classmates had A in Mutamok, I joined Equity Chambers in Bayo University. Obviously, one of the best, if not is the best in Bayo University. I know people from Bayo University will start arguing now. I'm just kidding. So, Equity Chambers. So, our first month in first year back then in 2013 or 2014, I can't recall. I think it was supposed to 2013 before strike or after strike 2014. I can't recall, but like it was my first year. I was not so that bold. I barely can talk in front of more than 5 people. And I'm just telling you this is my own experience. But I was so damn it. I don't know what it's gonna take. I want to be a successful lawyer. I want to be top-rated muta in this college. I was so that sure of that. And I know that I'll face all those reality. So I understand first is to look for your weaknesses. Look for your strength and weakness. What are my strengths? I'm good at research. I can write, even though I don't like writing too much. And I face it. Okay, I cannot face crowd. I face it. How do I face it? I started with months. First month, I had a B. They will send the list out after the list. They will put it out on the chambers notice board, and everybody will come and look at you like, hey, we're bragging. Yes, I'm a good this thing. So I had a B. Some of my classmates had an A. And when I had a B, I was like, Mubarak, that's not the end of the world. You need to get better. Like, if I can't even continue finishing my argument because I was afraid at some point, and my team lead then, Fatima came to my head, and I was facing one of them was another brilliant muta in BUK then, like, facing like it was already in level 3, and it was like I was trying to like do everything, like raise his objection, those kind of things. So I was a bit afraid. So I fought that. So that was the thing. Like I think I fought, and alhamdulillah. But in the second semester, I already had an A. By the time I was in second year, I was already leading moods myself, which is something meant for level 3 students. I was already leading moods. I was in some association that I was in interstate as a mood to my mock that I led them, and I led them to victory. Not once, not twice, about 3 or 4 times. I do many debates. So like first thing I first built my oratory skills, my ability to face the crowd. It's something that I'll encourage everybody. Like I face it, like it's something I do that I think I did right. I build my research skills even by doing a lot of law research, read a lot of law articles, reading law cases. I subscribe to Law Pavilion personal. I have my own personal Law Pavilion back as far back as undergrad. Like I used to use check cases, and like when you go cite it, like I got Wikipedia also from resources from some of my senior colleagues. So we read some of those cases. So when I was doing NYSC, some of my colleagues asked me, where do you learn this? Because I taught some of my colleagues even how to use Nigerian law reports, how to use an index at NYSC level. I taught some of them during externship, like how do you do this? How do you do law research? And I'm not trying to like boast them, but that's just the reality of it. Some of them have not done it before. So you have to ground yourself with some of these activities. Get involved in moot and mock activities, but don't compromise your academics. Anything that you do, ensure you have a strike a balance. And that's why I learned about proper time management. Like I can do this, I can do that, and I can still achieve my aim. I was a president of a state associations. I was on the board of many associations in BUK. And like I love jack pack of extracurricular activities going on. But at the same time, I still at least I maintained the grade I was looking for. I was not looking for a first class because even in bio, they won't give me first class. So I was not interested in it. I fought for it, and as somebody I was like, I'm not interested in it. So, but that was one thing I think a silly mistake I made, and I'll say this on when I was applying for PhD, I was concerned about my CGPA. Yes, I had a 2.1, but I was concerned about my CGPA because it's a competitive application. Everybody is coming from every part of the world. Nigeria, China, those brilliant folks from China, those brilliant folks from the EU. Like, for example, there are 4 students, 3 students that are lawyers in my PhD course. I'm not doing PhD law, I'm doing PhD in information science. And you apply with several people from several backgrounds coming to do interdisciplinary research. It's going to be like very hard. So I was concerned about my CGPA, and I was regretting I could have put more effort. So it's one thing because at some point I was relaxed. I don't care. If I had a 2.1, I don't care, to be honest. And it's one thing I think I regret at some point, but alhamdulillah, I did some other things, steps in life that was able to cover those gaps, because they won't look at one thing. They will also look at other things you bring on board, kind of specialty you are bringing on board. Like they will look at a lot of things. So I was able to cover the gaps through my research, through my work experience, to my further education and other things. So I was able to cover the gap. But it's one thing I think I will not tell anybody. I will tell anybody, like, don't joke with your grades. Don't let anybody deceive you. Grades matter anyway. They will say education is scam. Now lie, oh. And they will compare themselves with Bill Gates. They will compare themselves with Mark Zuckerberg. Bill Gates' parents were working with IBM before he left Harvard. And I'm sorry to say this. I'm not trying to underrate Nigerian students. I have taught what we call 100 level freshmen in the US, sophomore 200 level, junior that's 300 level, 400 level that's senior students in the US. I've taught master students, and I currently class I'm teaching over the summer. I have a PhD students there. So I can say this, like I've taught every level of experience in class. I can tell you one thing for sure. 100 level students in the US, 200 level students in the way they write, you can't compare it to the 400, even some master students in Nigeria. The way we train them, the way we grade them, the way we allow them to think. If somebody drop out at level 400 level, don't think education is scam. He has already acquired the knowledge he needs. So like when they tell you education is the fulcrum, if you're from a less background, I know a lot of classmates, I know a lot of friends, I know people that we are from a middle class or a lower class family in which education has opened many doors for them or for us. So don't let anybody deceive you. Education will be scam. Is the way you can get into the inner room, especially if you do not have person that will speak for you. So your grades matter. So it's something I want to work on, like something I will do differently is to work on my grade. And that somebody does not have first class does not mean stop you from having it. You can be the first, you can be the pioneer. Yes. I think a girl had a first class in bio last year, being the second person to have a first class in bio law, which is bad. It's something many of us have concern and we have concern about, but like I understand the system, but she don't get too ahead. So you can break that barrier. So don't let anybody deceive you. So like grades. Two, putting yourself out there. I wish I could put myself out there more, because that could have eased a lot of burdens I faced in life. But like, put yourself out there, write politely, and I use the word politely. Even when you disagree with people, don't be rude. And I'm saying this because anywhere in the world, and now people now check social media. A lot of things are happening in the world now. Everybody checks social media now. Even things that you write now, you don't know can be used against you in the future. Be very careful what you write out there. I'm not saying you should not face injustice. Face injustice. Be bold. Be vocal, but be polite. You can do all these things. You can disagree with people and still be polite. That's two things. Things I will do differently. I will do internship more, because it will help me to like know things, different things. And I, at this stage of your life, if you know what you want to do yet, yes, you can specialize and improve on it. But if you don't know what you do yet, try many things. I have a mentee. We started out on IP. I know I registered her for a copyright section, with like copyright section that a lot of lawyers are joining. And probably when she was level 3, so she tried out IP. We tried a lot of technology policy stuff. She wrote a dissertation on AI governance in Nigerian ed sector, which she has just finished, and opening all the best in her final exams, probably in this week or next week, and all these kind of things. But lately, she was telling me about how she gets interested into capital markets, corporate governance, like corporate and commercial law. So like, she has tried many things. So try many things. Don't limit yourself at this point. Try many things. You can get an hobby. You can get, like, I tried many things, like international law, local law. In fact, now it's now that I'm seeing the relevance of my international law class I took like maybe 8, 9, or 10 years ago. I can't really recall. Like, I took international law class. Like I took international law. Now I can see the relevance of it now more, because when I read a lot of things, I understand things more in an international law context. And when I speak to people, I can speak to people more on international context. For example, during my field exams a month ago, in a oral exam, that was 2nd of May, they were talking to me about common law, about some things, and I was telling my committee about common law, how common law can change a lot of dynamics, because we're talking about how AI governance, how adoption of AI governance law in a particular country may not be suitable for another country. And I was telling them about common law, how common law principle is the root of law of thoughts, which law of thoughts, privacy is from law of thoughts before it now developed into a constitutional rights under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I was trying to tell them about the origin of common law. It's something I took far back as level 2 or equity and trust, and I was trying to tell them the differences, but I was able to bring it back after so many close to 10 years later to talk about it, to differentiate a lot of things about different parts of the world. And they was like, yeah, you understand this thing very well. And I was like, and when Kabiru Adamu was teaching me Nigerian legal system back then, I was finding it more annoying, because it comes with a lot of bulky text materials to read. But all those things, so like, do your work now, read broadly, but prioritize your academics. That's one thing I don't compromise. I tell people, don't joke with your academics. That's your primary assignment now. And it's good for you. You're in Nigeria. You only go to work. There's only few people that go to work and go to school and work. There's only few people. Majority of us go to school only at that period of a time. I can tell you, going to work and schooling is not easy. And I pity a lot of people that does it. A lot of undergrad in the US, they'll go to work and at the same time go to school. Like, it's not easy. I can say it, like, I struggle a lot with it during my master's, because all I care when I was undergrad was to only go to school. I don't really care about working, like, so it's not so that easy to combine it too. So like, you have the chance now, broaden your experience, broaden your horizon, read it broadly. And for example, it's good to read broadly, but when it comes to like exams, know what your lecturer wants. That is the most important thing in Nigeria. I can read broadly, I can disagree with you, but your style is give them back. That's what makes you a brilliant student. That's what makes you a successful student. Even in a job setting, they will tell you, be teachable. If they say this is the procedure they want, or this is the style they want in an organization, you can disagree with them. But especially if it's something recurring, that this is how you do it in organizations, you follow the organizational pattern, especially when it's not the issue of like conflict of interest, like is a new thing is required. So be teachable, be teachable, like be visible, be teachable, the rights. Put yourself out there. If your final year projects, many people used to do these things, and I'm so happy I did not do it, because that was some of the experience I learned. For example, when I was applying for PhD, I'm not a good writer. I mean, I'm not a popular writer. I barely write. Even all my writings, I don't publish it. So I was looking for a very comprehensive writing sample, and I recall I used my undergraduate project as my writing sample for my PhD application. I compared cases on pre-action notices in Nigeria for some period of years. Like I make a comparison analysis, I make a content analysis of some of these things, and I talked about and how it affects access to justice. And I tell them how it can use to improve my research. Shikina is as easy as that. So and also now one thing I encourage people to do is when you finish your undergrad project, for example, the one that you've already finished, try to publish it in a journal. Or some people even publish it in a book as a book. Or if you cannot do it, publish in a journal, you cannot publish in a book, put it online under SSRN. I'll put it in the chat. Look for SSRN online. SSRN, ResearchGate, or academic.eu. Put it out there, make it online, make it visible. Then one thing I also think I will do is document all your achievements and publicize it. You do most today, document it. You attend a conference on so thing, you are document it. Even this kind of program, document it on your LinkedIn page. Tag NextGen programs so that people can know more about NextGen program. Tag them. If you are not doing visibility for yourself, you are not only doing visibility for anybody, you are doing visibility for yourself, because you don't even know one of the mentors in NextGen program that will be looking for, especially like, I think I saw this person on something so yeah. And for example, I may not even know that you joined this program, but like if I see it on LinkedIn some years ago, oh yeah, you joined the NextGen program, let's speak about something. You know, like all these kind of things are something that I think I don't think I do when I was on your that I think I would do now, or I've encouraged many of my mentees to do. And I can say it, alhamdulillah, many of them now get six-figure in dollars job across several parts of the world. Alhamdulillah, I can speak about it. Many of them get into fully funded scholarships several parts of the world. Yeah, many of them get a job that is not only changing their life, it's changing the life of their entire generation. You can be the change maker of your entire generation. I mean your entire generation. So you have to make you have to try your best now, and you continue trying your best. So that's one thing I can tell you. What else should I tell you about? Do moot and mock. If you want to be a good lawyer, you understand based on law, do moot and mock, do debate competitions. If you can afford it, attend conferences. I know LAMLAS will be having a symposium in Ilorin probably in August. Attend LAMLAS. For example, let me tell you, one of the things that critically changed my career outside Bayero was NAMLAS conference that I attended in 2016 at OAU. I met a lot of people that I know on social media, and I make them in person. When I reached law school, I could not get a bed space. Initially, one of the guys I met on online, just Facebook friends, we met in NAMLAS in OAU. He told me to come to his room, and we slept. I slept in his room until I was able to do all this law school. And we are in law school because it's annoying to do law school registration. Once I complete my regulation and get to my room, we're in the same room. Interestingly, he got married. He ended up getting married to a classmate of mine and a friend of mine. Interestingly, and that aspect of NAMLAS conference changed a lot of my perspective about many things. I learned a lot of things from people from the southern part of the country. It was from his mouth I first heard Big Four. I first heard PwC, KPMG, Deloitte, Ernst & Young. It was his mouth I first heard before in my life. I never heard of them before in my life. And a lot of things that we talked about as a friend, as a roommate back then, changed a lot of career trajectory of my life. Just meeting friends at the conferences. So if you can afford NAMLAS conference, other Lausanne conferences, some of those things, try to go meet people. If you can see people that will sponsor you for MBA conferences, MBA Lagos conferences, go meet lawyers. Even if you're in Kano, you're in Sokoto, you're in every place, go meet lawyers, like meet people. Put it on LinkedIn. You are this, you learn about this. Tag those people that speak there. They start getting to notice you. So when it's time for you to apply for an internship, it is easier to maneuver those stages of life. One thing I can tell you for sure is people are watching. Take it or leave it. You won't know. They are watching. And don't be too controversial. Yeah, that sometimes it's not good to get into controversial topics. It's good to be bold. I'm not saying you should not be bold. As an advocate, you are trying to be bold. You stand to injustice, but like you have to do it in a polite way. And I emphasize on it because we've seen it playing out too much, especially for I presume many of you are in Gen Z generation. I'm not a Gen Z. I'm a millennial. And want some of the things people don't understand Gen Z. We have to acknowledge that the older generation does not understand Gen Z, which is bad. But at the same time, Gen Z needs to watch what they put out there. Sometimes you read some comments, I was like, this is too annoying. Like I just discovered that guy is a law student, is a level 3 law student. I was like, what an embarrassment. What kind of this is this? So you have to put yourself out there. I cannot emphasize that. And read widely, explore widely, don't limit yourself. That's one thing I also need to say. Never limit yourself. And don't feel inferior. yeah, we have that stigma like feel inferior. No, don't feel inferior, because that one will kill you internally. So you build on, not, don't feel inferior. Like anywhere you are, try to speak in the room. You know, irrespective of, for example, I have a colleague back then. Our English was not so that good, but she speaks it like that. She spoke like that, like the way anyway, anyhow, she go speak am. Say, whether you abuse my nose, I go talk, I go speak am. You know, by 2 years later, the English improved. Now, I'll also say this one, and some of my colleagues on the call will know this. I was a secretary of an organization at some points. I was not originally a member back then in Bayero. Like I was invited to be the secretary because they want to restructure a lot of things. And I've been on several board of many associations, and they felt like I can come to improve a lot of things. So I was telling some of these guys, many of them are in Arabic and Islamic studies, on the importance of, and back then it's mostly a Yoruba-based association. It's a Yoruba Muslim-based association in BUK. And I advise them that since we have a non-Yoruba speakers or listeners that are joining us on a frequency, we should ensure our programs are also in English, or like have a combination of English and Yoruba. Some people protested that. It was not a suggestion. But one particular person stood out. He accepted it, and he speaks that English. It was not so that easy for him at the first stage. People will even laugh at him. Some people will call him, sorry to non-Yoruba speakers, they call him Afa Ilebo, like their father speaks English. But today, whenever I read his Facebook post, I used to say Alhamdulillah, because it changed him. Like, even when you read his opinions on issues, you will see how sound it is. And that's how you can make impact. So like even things that you think you're not good at, try your best, continue doing it, continue improving, continue collect. You receive feedbacks. When people abuse you, don't mind them. Do it in your own way, the way you best can do it. From there, nobody build perfection on day one. At long run, you'll be good, you'll be better, and you'll be the best. That's just one thing I realized. I started out the muta as a very poor muta. I was very shy, I could not talk to people, but I continued, like, and I can say it with all sense of modesty and not being arrogant or pride. If anybody could speak to anybody that went to Bayero around the period I was doing Bayero, they will tell you that I'm a very brilliant muta. And in fact, that ends me to be the chief judge of the union court, which was a big thing. It was a well-considered position. You have to know a lot of people. I don't know anybody. They just invited me like, oh, I saw a message. You are invited to be the chief for a position of judge, interview of a judge. It's a lot of politics was going on. And I was invited, Mubarak. I was the youngest among all the applicants. Some of them had a prior degree. One of them even had a prior degree in English. They're experienced, they're influential, they're connected. Issue of like tribe, race, everything will play out. I don't know anybody. I just one day. When I entered the hall, I knew that day that I will be the chief judge, even though I did not want to accept it for some other reasons. But at the same time, when I reached out to some friends, like, no, you have to, well, it's up to you to decide. But one thing, when I entered the hall, I don't even know. When I started talking, I just don't know. I was just talking about my ideas, my visions, how to improve the system, this, that. I was just talking, I was like vibing, I was just talking. I don't know that those senators they were noticing, and after the old conversation, I can't even see people in the room. I can't see. I was just talking on my own. I was like, all these kind of things. When we're done with the old section and we're back in this backstage and for them to decide, then they said they should come in and they said you have been selected as the next chief judge of Bayero University. I said, me, who am I? In Bayero, the politics was high, the tension was high then. But one thing I noticed that will help me along the line was I stand out. I was a muta. Whenever people had legal challenges, all those politicians, some of them will come to me. I would just seek them and give my advice. This is the best way to approach this. Maybe this one, you have to set it out of the moot court, the union court. Don't trouble it too much. These are the best approaches you can do some of those things. I don't know, they are noticing me. Many of them later on, I realized that when I was back for this room for the swearing in, I was able to sit down. I was like, I think I know about 4 or 5 of these people. So like, try your best, put yourself out there. Nobody can stop you. If you know you're not good at it, continue trying, continue striving, continue doing your best. At the end of the day, you will be better. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is born perfect. It's like when you compare Cristiano, it's like for you that watch football. I'm not a football fan, but one thing I learned from the life of Cristiano Ronaldo is consistency. He was not born to be a footballer. He was trained to be a footballer. I won't mention other people's names so that I won't, like, for example, Messi is from Argentina. It's a country or region that knows for like successful in football. Ronaldo is from Portugal. they're not known for to be successful in football, but like he trained himself, he built every other thing himself, and he is very consistent. And everybody will talk about. I was leading to Victor Osimhen's interview later, and I was saying that when he met Ronaldo, was still doing training. That's hard work, consistency. You cannot overemphasize that. You know, my former boss, Paulo Soro, the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, he's one of the best writer you can ever see as a lawyer in Nigeria. And I say this, many lawyers have confirmed it. One of the best writers, like a lawyer that knows how to write. If you read Paulo Soro briefs, you know that this guy is brilliant. Like his own power is writing. His own power is in his writing. And whenever he talks about, starting his career, start doing it, start his career as a typewriter before he even went to OAU, all those kind of things, he was consistent. And before you know it, he makes a name for himself. He's very big and everything. Like his law firm is now on like a 12-story building in the heart of Victoria Island, all those kind of things. So like Rome was not built in a day. With hard work, with consistency, with faith, with ethics, I know Allah will open many paths for you. Even if you apply, they serve you rejection. Rejection is a normal thing to some of us. It's not a normal thing. Yeah, it's so disappointing. Rejection is not, but now rejection is a normal thing. It's a part of life. I don't know this until when I was post 23. I don't know that on the post. I'm telling you this because I do not, for example, I'm so lucky I did not apply to 2 schools before in my life. My master's only one school, my PhD only one schools. So when I see some rejections later, I was like, it's so like I'm not used to it until post 23 years of my life. Like 23 years age upward. Then I realized that life is not. You surely see rejections. You see it. For example, I know there's an ASCAR where whenever you receive a good news, there's something to say. Whenever you receive a bad news, you say whenever I receive a good news, I go to my Isno Muslim. I read it. I move on. Bad news, I read it. I move on. Life continues. But one thing I know is I'm consistent. I'm truthful. I don't hold malice. I don't bring people down. I support people what I can do in any way I can do. And I don't put people down. I can support people. And I don't hide information from people. I don't care me and you applying for the same role. Because what is mine, it's mine. What is not mine, it's not mine, no matter how I drag it. So that's one thing I tell people. And so work as a team. Work with your colleagues. Help each other. You can excel in life as a team. Not as Yoruba. My people will say, one hand cannot lift something on the head. Like you have to use 2 hands to put something on the head. Then if you're a broom, you are breakable. But if you're a bunch of broom, like a straw of broom is very breakable, but a bunch of broom is not easily breakable. So work as a team, work as a colleagues. From there, you can progress in life. That's the end of my TED talk.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Again, we're really grateful for that response. That part about the rejection got me, and I think I really needed it because I've been a recipient of rejections for a very long time now, to the extent that I felt like, should I just drop it? Should I just stop applying for these things to save myself the heartbreak and all of that? But then hearing you say all of this, I think it's giving us a lot of encouragement. Thank you so much, sir, for that. And we're moving to the question and answer section now, and we'll be taking just 2 questions because we do not have so much time on our hands. So if you have a question, just raise your hands. I'll call you, then you unmute yourself and speak.
For me, I have more time. I have more time. I can stay with you guys, but I know if you guys don't have more time. But for me, I think my time is big. I can sacrifice those times, even though like they are, so American lawyers will say it's billable hours, yes, but like, yeah, I can sacrifice some of my time for this if it's this. Yes. But I look forward to you guys' questions.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay, for the first person here, we have Taufik Akimbo. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum. Kindly confirm if you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, I can, Taufik.
All right, thank you so much, Jazakumullah Khairan, for the insightful comment, and I commend you on your achievement thus far, and we are so much proud of you. I am a law school graduate. We graduated from Nigerian Law School February 2025, and my question is around work experience and vis-a-vis remuneration. So we are still awaiting the publication of our results, right? And I've been sending applications to law firms recently, and the firms that have gotten thus far, they have the requisite experience, the cognitive experience, right? But then in terms of remuneration, it's below par. It's too meager. So what's your advice on that? Do you advise I take on the work in view of the fact that the remuneration is low, or it's something I should just decline and look up for better opportunities? So do you get my question at all?
Thank you, Taufik. I think I know Taufik on LinkedIn. I've never met him in person before in my life, but I know him very well on LinkedIn, and he posts a lot on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Taufik. I will start with that. You see, one thing is, it's so annoying and so unfortunate. The remuneration system in Nigeria generally, and especially for law, is bad. We have to acknowledge it. But one thing I want to tell you is, it's so unfortunate, and I still say it is so unfortunate, because especially when we know some of the revenue of some of those people. And I think just concluded MBA Lagos branch conference. These are some of the things people are talking about. Remio Guntoye and Latifa Kangbe was talking about, and all this kind of things. It's so unfortunate. But however, one thing I want to know is, and I was telling somebody lately about it, a colleague lately, that the remuneration may be low, but if you do not have any other offer, and I say, if you don't have many other offer, and it's a decent place to work, and you think you can work there and you can navigate life, I think it's good to start from somewhere, because nobody starts from the top. Nobody starts from collecting the big money. Not all of, and the reality is, yeah, you earn some law firm paying coppers 450, 500, 550. Yes, but not all of us will collect that big money at once. I know people that added 2-2, they could not get into big law in the first part of their career. You know, interesting thing, I look up to them. We are in the same space, and I look up to them now. They could not get us big space then, but they were consistent. They start from a small law firm. They start putting themselves out there. They write. They work a lot of things, and before you know it, big law poached them. I won't mention a girl. She joined us in Polusoro. I can't recall her grade, but she joined us even before the law school results came out. And you know, even before she became called, she has been going to meetings with people like Aliko Gangote, like Jim Ovia, I Boje. I don't want to mention this, but I mentioned this name for you to learn that, because the quality of people, he has been going to meetings, and she has been consistent. The law firm that hired her now, that she currently works now, they will not even hire people that without a first class. And I know she doesn't have a first class. But what? She has included herself in company secretariat's role. They hired her. Do you see that one? And they pay better. So nobody, like all of us will not get into the big law. That's the honest truth. But with consistent, I know somebody that went to a law firm and interviewed in a law firm. They did not hire him. And he moved back to another smaller law firm. He was working, was consistent, was putting himself out there. That same law firm that did not hire him initially end up hiring him again. So start from somewhere. You will never, not all of us will start from the top. That's the honest truth. Not all of us will start from the top. Not all of us will get into the big law immediately. It is consistency. So I went to a conference in DC with a friend that we did NYC together in Lagos. And that's when I think about your network, your friends. You guys should tap along the line. Because I could recall when they shared me with the conference, how to get to the conference, register for the conference for free. I shared it with him and we registered, and we went to DC together. So there was another guy we met at another conference some few years ago. So, and he met the boss of the guy in the new law firm he was working. And when the guy works in Champaign or Banner, like the remuneration was small, we were a small place, but he learns a lot about the diverse thing about privacy. And now he now goes to the big law, paying him in six figures in USD. Now, and it was the partner, the reporting partner who hired him, said he could not believe he could have that kind of experience coming out from where he's coming from. But even though it's a small place, you start from somewhere. I know the remuneration is bad. Start from somewhere. Be consistent. Be putting yourself out there at long run, and be like like when you're also like, for example, now if like the pay, it's not good somewhere, and this is an honest opinion. If the pay is not good somewhere, but you do all your best, put yourself out there, and why you apply to other places. So like it will be a stepping stone to a greater path. But like shutting it out entirely that you are not going, you're not accepting, you're not going somewhere, you're not stay at home dormant. No, your experience is wasting. So like, you build your experience from somewhere. I understand it's a reality. Remuneration must commensurate with life and all this thing, like cost of living is more higher, all these kind of things. I understand the reality. That's the reality of life. But at the same time, not all of us will start big. We'll start small and we'll progress. I don't want to mention names because I've not seek their consent. Maybe if I've seek their consent, I've mentioned people that decided from a small law firm, they're not in a big law now, that some of them, they even poach them, like not even them, they did not apply. They did not apply. The girl I was talking about, she did not even apply. They reach out to her. And for somebody to reach out to you, you've built yourself. You signify yourself. Like, you've done something for yourself that they could have said they want to have an interest in you. So please start from somewhere. Continue building the promised land. Nobody goes to the promised land immediately. So you continue to use the promised land, and the sky is never the limit, but rather the starting point.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you very
Mubarak. If I can add quickly to that. I don't work in law, I work in another industry entirely, but I think the concept is scalable to just that as well. Depending on how small it is and whether it can cover your living expenses and things like that, I think it's always better to put whatever you've learned in school to work somewhere other than just being at home and having nothing. Compared to that, I think it's a better experience. And then once you start working through that job, you can start hearing about even other firms, other law clients, other like law firms. You can start actually building your resume for good work experience. And then you can start knowing people that can introduce you to people. Because I can tell you that people they look at the resume to make if they would hire you. But when push comes to shove, they hire people that they trust and they know. So the more people that can vouch for you that, oh, I worked with this guy, he's amazing, it's great, and they already know in the industry that you now have under your belt, I think the better it will be for you in the long run. I don't know. This is all I can possibly add.
Yeah, that is Sister Shakira Anifuwoshi. I won't talk more than that. She's the founder of this NextGen. She's very interested in getting more Muslim youths progress academically, career-wise. She's big. I won't talk more than that about her now. So we thank her for putting all this up together, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless her work and efforts. So she's talking from a very big experience. She's very versatile from a professional industry. So please don't joke with those advice. Thank you.
Mubarak is joking. There were a team of 4 of us that started NextGen. It's not just me, but thanks to the entire team for the work they do.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, sir, for that. Okay, we'll be having Mustapha Tohib next. You can go on with your question.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me first start by appreciating our speaker for the very insightful lecture and the experiences that he shared. I mean, there are things that I've learned from, and there are things that we've all learned from. Now, my question is regarding a recent conversation among lawyers, and that came from a tweet. Someone tweeted something on Twitter, and I'm not sure, maybe some of us must have seen it, but let me just give a context to that, or the background to it. So I think yesterday a lady posted about if those that are into startup are going to deal with a lawyer, they should deal with most specifically a startup lawyer, or a lawyer who is conversant with the VC or startup environment. And then she went on to also mention that do not approach, I think, litigation lawyers because they might not be that conversant with that field. And that has caused, back and forth among lawyers that, litigation lawyers are actually, they can deal with that, stuff like that. Now, our speaker said, I think in his lecture, he was here in Nigeria, worked at Polisoro, did litigation. For me, one of the things that I find very interesting about his story is how he transitioned from that to going into IP, privacy, AI governance. Because if you look at litigation and and the other field, like they are two different things. He's currently doing his PhD in information science. So my question is, how was it easy to transition into what you're doing right now? And then, do you agree with the fact that as litigation lawyers, it is hard to maybe deal with some of these IP-related issues? Thank you.
Let me start because I was trying to check something on as you were asking your question, and I called a post by somebody talking about my former boss. He's saying he's one of the best, brilliant litigator and transaction lawyer combined, like someone that can fuse the two in Nigeria. And I will agree with the person without even thinking twice. One thing, when people say you should consult people that have specialty in a particular field, is because of the nature of some of these transactions. For example, as a lawyer, for example, if you give me a real estate something, I likely try to contact a friend before I start anything on it, if I'm going to do it personally, or like work together with some colleagues. You know why? Because it's not my thing. If you want me to draft it, even though I've been act of a law firm for like 3 years now, like, I mean, even though I still write briefs for a lot of some cases and all those kind of things, but if you want to bring me on board on some things, like if it's like come and draft a statement of defense, I won't even think twice. Just send me the pleadings. I will get you a first draft. I can get you a first draft without even talking to you at all. Or just tell me like summary of your position on these issues. I can get you a first draft. Like, these are what we need to look out for. That's my specialty. I was trained, and I say with all sense of modesty, like I was trained one of the best law writers in Nigeria in writing. If you read Polusoro's briefs, anybody that reads articles, petition, and the last election was signed by Polusoro. Go and read the petition. Like, just look out for it, Google it, go and read the petition, and you'll see the brilliancy in writing. Even though Paul has to drop out for some other reason at the end of the day, I wish it was in the case to the end, because you could see a lot of brilliancy it displayed in that writing, for example. That's style, that's a specialty. One thing is sometimes we are lawyers, but that doesn't mean we are conversant with everything. That's why it's also, when you know the general knowledge, it's also have your own specialty skills, like your own skill, your own particular skills in something. Because specialty, for example, startup, it involves you knowing about startup laws, how to register a company, how to do a lot of company secretariat work, how to do a lot of CAC stuff as far as Nigeria is concerned. Then how to know issue of financing, investing, how to know a lot of things about venture capital, how to know things about venture capital. Then if it's in a fintech industry, how to develop a app, how to develop a product, how to develop as a product manager, how to even manage teams, how to get investors. It's not just it's a law. I don't know, but I don't think any schools in Nigeria will teach you like things that will startup law. It's something skills you have to build along the line, or like you specialize, or you make a mark, a niche for yourself in, for example. So it has to be someone that knows it. Sometimes it's good to, and that's why in the US, before they gave you, and I'm saying this even when you are in Nigeria, because at least I work for a lot, I represented a lot of US based companies, Netherlands based companies, UK based companies in Nigeria. Like, yeah, like even like multinational companies, like that's what I do, except Nigerian banks that I work for. I'm like mostly first tier banks. It's mostly multinational companies that are all represented, for example. Before they even give you job, when like you're talking to a new client, they want to know your CV, they want to know your past experience, they want to know whether you can do that thing. So that's persons, they are not strongly wrong, but now people think litigators also cannot do some of these things, because when we talk about litigation, if I'm handling the transactions, I look at it from a transactional perspective. I'll also look at it like, what are the possible future cases that will come up that I have to stop? For example, I was reviewing the contracts some years ago, and also we are trying to use a document for a defense, and we could spot some things that, no, if it's a litigation is drafting this, they could have noticed the consequence of it. So it's not a blanket check. And sometimes you can be a litigator and still be a startup attorney. You can be a litigator at the same time, like Polusoro, like SPA, Babatunde Ajibade. They are litigators and they are still like transactional attorneys. Like, they can do the two together. So it depends on the people where it's not a blanket check. That's one thing I want you to first know. Like, it depends on the personality, on the experience of individuals. So actually, if I'm going to do something on land, I also want to get somebody like very versatile in it, whether you're a litigator or not. Or my own question is, but there is this usually everybody turns it to litigation and non-litigation fights in Nigeria. These are unnecessary fights we used to fight. It's like fighting about law and medicine debate, who is better. At the end of the day, what is the paramount is how do we contribute to society? So it depends on what paramount at the end of the day is how do I get the best results for my clients? Or if I'm a client, for example, I consult a lawyer just last week to make some decisions on the real estate issues. And I was like, even though I know the law, I know this thing, but I still have to consult a lawyer. And I was actually like, yeah, I think this, and I look at this, are my opinion about some of this thing. I think like, but when after I consult him, I think my opinion was wrong because that was his own specialty. So you cannot overlook people's specialty. Now, how did I transcend from like AI governance, all these kind of things? Look, like for example, even a PhD in information science, is a funny talk because in Nigeria we do things in a disciplinary way. We do not do a lot of interdisciplinary, and it's bad. The role of the world now, the future of everything in this world is interdisciplinary. When I used to work in Western capital market like banks, for example, and involve finance, for example, issue of bad loans and all those kind of things, I work with bankers, I work with chartered accountants, I work with forensic finance experts. So it's not that maybe I'm just copying my opinion about law. No, I'm working with professionals. When we do with issue of tax, we get tax consultants. We are brilliant. We can do the tax law, but we still get tax consultants. Like we still get tax consultants to come and like walk us through a lot of things, a lot of technicalities. So that's why specialty is important. Now coming to AI, like it's my PhD is it's an interdisciplinary program where everybody from different walk of life come together to solve a common life goals of people. For example, HCI, human computer interaction, product management, policy stuff, earth informatics. In my school, that's why you see people from different, like all of us do different things. So we come together, cybersecurity education, to solve things. Because when you want to address a particular issue, for example, the issue of AI, it has the issue of management, it has the issue of technical, you have the issue of regulation, you have the issue of policy, you have the issue of law, you have the issue of human factor. Human factor, how does it affect human life? You have the issue of psychology, you have the issue of medicine. So like we come together as a team to work on different projects or the same project together to achieve a common goal. That is interdisciplinary. And I think that's one thing that is given, for example, now earth law is not a big thing in Nigeria. And one of the problem is because people don't like intersection between laws and law. Like it's coming out, it's getting better than like 10 years ago, but like it's poor. So when you do interdisciplinary research, it improves you. There is no way when you do maritime, for example, you bring maritime expert. When we do oil and gas, I was in an oil and gas defense for a multinational company, which we won. We are the only one person that won that case out of the 3 defendants. Every other person lost. And it's counting of millions of dollars as compensation, billions of naira. We bring geologists, we bring civil engineer, petroleum engineer. So like it's a multidisciplinary stuff. So like it's something like it's transit, and that's why all your friends you have in other departments, don't be proud to them. They are your friends. I have a client, is my personal client. It was my classmate in BUK. He's a computer, he's a tech guy, he's a tech bro. He gives me even clients. Like when I was raising funds for students for school fees a few years ago, I just told the guys, I was like, I don't want to reach out to him personally, but reach out to him, blah, blah, blah. Use this techniques, reach out to him. And after then, before you know, he has already paid for 2 or 3 students. And so I called him to take him. So he said he knows that it's for me. That's because nobody knows him like that. I was like, yeah, he can't code. Like, like I'm just telling you the other part of it, but he's my colleague, but we do a lot of things together. I advise him a lot of things growing up. Even I review employment contracts for him. For example, before he even started employment, just an employment from anybody. So it's interdisciplinary. So that's one thing. Now, answering your question, how I transcend. Look, when I came to the US, I saw a lot of things differently the way I see it in Nigeria. And that's one thing that helped me. You see people who are lawyers that go for MBA directly, get it full funded. You see even lawyers going to nursing. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. Now, coming back to your last part of your questions, the world is interwoven. A lot of things are like dimensional, like they come together different ways. So just try to explore things that you don't know. Ask people. Don't think anything is not possible. Many things are possible. In my program, there is a girl I just graduated did his defense last year. this week rather, she was one of the people that motivates me to apply for the PhD, because she doesn't know that I did not speak to her, but like when I look at it, she had a law background, she had the first degree in law in India. She's coming here doing PhD. Me too, I can do it now. She don't get too weird now. And so some of those things are like, oh, it was a motivation then. Not knowing that there were three lawyers, 2 from Nigeria, 1 from Brazil. We were hired into the PhD program first, like to come and work on policy stuff. And I think somebody from Ghana, a Ghanaian, will be joining us in August also in another lab. So like it's a multidimensional world. People work on interdisciplinary research, and I think I want you to see this world as interdisciplinary. I know the system they teach us in Nigeria is a bit of one route, but like at the end of the day, you work with people from different disciplines, and you don't have choice. You have to do it. And even as a lawyer, you can choose to leave law, and your law background will help you when you are going to banking, when you are going to. I have a friend that is a photographer, and when he was still in Dutse in Jigawa State, he was one of the best photographer in Jigawa. He was my classmate's roommate in university. He was my roommate in law school. He had a 2-1. So he's not like Olodo. No. So like be open-minded. And even if they force you ahead, this is the best time to say this. Even if they force you to study law, and you do not want to study law, but please do it. Excel from it. You can go and do what you want to do in later. You will understand the importance of that law. I have a friend now. He do import and export from China. He imports a lot of bikes, a lot of things from China. He exports also to other parts of the world. He does not want to study law, but he reluctantly studied it to the end of the day. And the last time we were speaking, I was talking about how law helps him in forming contract and making an opinions on some of these decisions in life. So be open-minded. If you want to leave the profession, fine. But I can tell you, if that your passion is not to study law, you can start at the side also. You can go back to what you want to do. We'll still come back to us. You can still come back to our IELTS as a lawyer. That's fine. But like it can be a step to many opportunities in life. So don't close it. Even if you want to go back to cooking. Now, content creator, they are now signing up contracts. They are now making up a lot of agreements. They are now making up a lot of deals. These things will help you, will shape you, will shape your. Even when you are going to the room, say, "Hi, I'm so person. I'm a chef. I'm a lawyer. I'm a this." They want to hire you. A chef, a lawyer. She must be brilliant. She must be learned. You know those kind of things. And I've seen it happen to many friends. So yeah, I think that's my best response for now.
Yeah, I wanted to add 2 things, and honestly, you're saying so many. I intentionally snuck into this session because I wanted to really say things from the law perspective, and you're saying so many things that are principles that can also be borrowed for other areas of work, and we'll try to share this recording with everyone, even if they are not here. So the first thing I wanted to say is education, and you said a lot about our education. I wanted to mention that there was this quote I read recently, and the person said, schooling will make you a living, but your self-driven education will make you a fortune. And the moment we all realize, and irrespective of wherever we are in our careers or education, that wherever we learned within the confines of a school where they give you a certificate and BSc for, may not necessarily be all the education you need for your entire life, all the education you need to make all the money you want to make in life. The moment you start sitting yourself down and say, I need to teach myself this, I need to teach myself that. Sometime last year, I sat down and said, I want to teach myself communication. Communication is easy. We can all communicate, but I knew I needed to start communicating at another level, and I'm still on that journey. And I literally started taking courses, started reading books. I joined Toastmasters. Very soon, I'll probably start ready to give a mock TED talk. I don't have any intentions of giving a TED talk. I just really wanted to be a better communicator. So the moment we all start embracing that path of self-driven education and start saying that, what else can I learn beyond the confines of what school have taught me to make all the fortune I need to make in life? I think that would be, and that's where the interdisciplinary thing comes in. Because you're a lawyer does not mean you cannot know how the human body functions. You don't need to have a BSc in biology. Just go on YouTube and watch a few videos intentionally. There you go. You now know how the human body functions. You'll be shocked where it will come useful. Whether for yourself, whether for your kids, whether even randomly at work, working for a biotech client. You'll be shocked how useful it will become. So don't confine your curiosity to just, I have a BSc in law. That's all I'll be curious about. Second thing I wanted to mention was what you also said about At the end of the day, the work we do is a means of just adding value to the world. And we hope that we're really adding good value. Some people are being destructive with the work they do. We hope anybody on this call will not be that. So at the end of the day, the work we do is a means of adding significant value to the global economy. How we do that, the field at which you take, the clients at which you serve, the location at which you are in is a path, is a means. The end goal, inshallah, is to add immense value to the global economy and to get paid as much as you can. So as you're going through your career, keep asking yourself, can I get paid more than this? Yes, go and ask for the more money. Go and negotiate. Anyways, that's all I'll say for now. Don't let me take over this session. I actually came here to learn.
Okay, thank you so much for the input, Ma. Thank you so much for the response, sir. The next person here is Amina Abdurrahman. You can go ahead with your question very quickly.
Okay, sorry. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakumullahu khairan, jazakallahu bi khair, sir, for the insightful session. And I think time is not on my side, and I have two questions. The first one is, Alhamdulillah, you said you started your career with Paul Osoro, one of the best writer. And now I'm in this kind of like a problem. I'll call it a problem. I've been more of a speaker than a writer, and the legal profession actually demands more of writing skills than, although it also has to do with advocacy skills, but before you get there, you have to have written your brief, have them prepared before you can even go to court. So I would like you to give me advice on what I can do to improve my brief writing and my writing skills generally as a professional. Then the second one, I will build up on my colleague, Mustapha Babalola, his question. And I would like to seek your advice on what is the best approach actually from being a law graduate. Should you just jump into having a master's, or you should actually work on your experience, have a little bit of experience and specialization before you then jump into, okay, let's say, oh, I want to be in capital market. I want to get a master's dealing with capital market or private equity or law and finance. Or what is your general view and what would be your general advice? Thank you very much. Jazakallah bi khair.
Okay, let me start with the second leg of the question. You see one thing, our paths will never be the same in life. What is easy for A may not be easy for B. What is easy for B may not be easy for A. There are some people, they immediately after first degree, I have colleagues like that, immediately after their first degree, they came back to Nigeria for law school. I'm talking about even the specific friend, like set of friends that they schooled abroad, like they came back to, did their first degree, they came to Nigeria for law school. Immediately after law school, they went back to the UK for their masters and they came back. And I have two of them like that. So they came back for NYSC and they are doing big now what they do. That's their path. Our path is not the same. Look for what's good for you. There are sometimes some people get clarity during their masters. There are some points you get the clarity. For example, me, I end up going to privacy because privacy is one of the list of the work I do. I do more of banking or finance litigation and capital markets. Like there's a particular capital markets, like about 12 or 15 cases relating to it is on my head. I do everything that relates to it. Like, Mubarak, what's the update on this? Mubarak, like a lot of this. So, but like privacy, for example, just came as one of the tail head of it. I still recall very well. I was going to a friend wedding in Kaduna, and I was writing a written address on those kind of issues. Like I was reading like, because I go around with my laptops all those periods. Till now, I go around with my laptops anywhere I'm going in the world. So like I like that's when I started privacy. My master's was not supposed to be privacy, but I have to struggle to even get into some class related to law and tech stuff. So I did not start out my career as a tech person. I take it as a purely commercial lawyer. But even though I work in another factor was, for example, I work in a law firm that has a bedrock on communication law. So that was one thing. So there is no direct way for everybody. Some, your clarity may be during your masters. Some, but professional experience guide you better sometimes. You know, you can, for example, I have one problem during my masters. When they speak about some things, I don't understand because I don't understand the American legal system then earlier on. I don't understand the culture. I don't understand how a lot of things work there. If it's a British system, you know, it's very similar to Nigeria. So like I have some kind of things over there, but I was still able to navigate it through consultation with colleagues, classmates, seniors, and those kind of things. So there's no direct path for everybody. No, we cannot follow the same route every time. We have our own unique way. Sometimes masters may be the first approach to some people, they get clarity and they move down in their life and they get the big job from there. Sometimes the professional experience, but sometimes professional experience help you because it's practical. Sometimes going to school can be very annoying because you won't like they are saying sometimes it's just like, what are these guys saying? But like that one can be a bit practical. You can practicalize it and you can implement the practicality of it while you move forward. So it's not a one-way traffic. If anybody that tells you it's a one-way traffic, it's not, I can't say it's a lie, but that may not be always so correct. So sometimes the master's approach may work for you first, or the other one, the going the experience. But sometimes experience helps better because it makes you to like gauge, it makes you like look at understand what works in an environment. It makes you like have a test run, have a cherry bite of many things. For example, most law firms in Nigeria do these aspects. When they hired NYC associates, you rotate in different departments. You work in different field, maybe for the first or 2 years. So from there, you see clarity. If you have the chance, it's good, especially if the pay is good. But if you don't have the chance, for example, I know someone that immediately after law school, they got admitted to with full scholarship to a school abroad. If you look at the stipend and everything, and the way we seek for Nigerians, one of the things that pushed me for master was I went for an interview and there was like, I don't have a foreign degree. Not because I was not qualified, but I don't have a foreign degree. And I was so annoyed and pissed off. I was pissed off in September. It was early September. And before you know it, in the middle of September, I just dropped my application in. I was so pissed off. I was pissed off. I was like, what's the meaning of that? So sometimes it's the way it works for A does not work for B. So for example, if you get a full funded scholarship, whether in Nigeria or abroad, for a master's program, maybe after your law school or after your degree, and if you look at the compensation, like some extent is mostly the same or even better, I'll actually go for the masters. I'll come back for the promotions, so it's not a one-way traffic. It depends on it. But like sometimes professional experience make you to test many things in reality, to see things in a practical way, and to see how best to approach it. Two, when you are a writer, a speaker than a writer, yes, another thing I did not speak about is advocacy is not only courtroom advocacy. You can be advocacy fighting for the right of people. You can be advocacy, not even only right, you can be advocacy telling the public about human rights, about female awareness, why female to have that, you allow female to go to school or right to access educations. I also have to consider the complexities of each society, but we have to say it out. I get annoyed when people say a woman should not go to school. I don't know who you are. I'll get annoyed because one of the best compilers I did it Aisha Radiallahu Ta'ala Aliyu, Afsa, Bint Umar bin Khattab, who again? Remind me, the wives of the prophet, they are like brilliant, they are learned. The first form, the first university in the world, in Morocco, in Fes, Morocco, was founded by a woman. So, like, for example, you can want to talk about health issues. For example, yesterday was World Sickle Cell Day. Sickle cell is an anemia issue that affects many people in Nigeria, in every part of the world, but it's very common. Nigeria is the headquarters of sickle cell. So, and people don't understand the awareness about it. For example, you see a lot of people, for example, if you are a genotype AS, it's not advisable to marry another genotype AS because that can lead to a probability of having a kid with SS, having a sickle cell. And that's the crazy thing. No matter how you love each other, once you have a sickle cell kid, no, it's financially expensive, it's mentally draining. You are putting a kid throughout their life into sickness, into the hospital. You can even derail your even life and profession. So like some of those things, for example, you can be an advocacy to a germane professional issues. You can be a advocate or talking about environmental issues. You can be, so like even as an advocate, you can do anything. But now to curb your issue of say I'm not a good writer. I like speaking over than writing, for example. But one way I do it is sometimes you have to write so that people can also know you, because when you speak here, not everybody must see your visibility everywhere. But like when you write, sometimes it can make your visibility go faster. One thing you do is, for example, you can stay on your phone, record yourself. If you find a challenge, it's like record yourself. After that, transcribe it. You can open a Zoom meeting, start talking to it. It's transcribe it for you. You can transcribe it, but you have to be very careful because so that it will not turn to AI generated content, and so that they will not hold the liability for example, there are some places where they will not accept you to submit a paper or work with AI generated content, and when you use the AI generated content, you have to tell them how do you use it. So that's an issue of AI ethics. And unfortunately, I end up not, maybe I'll have a wrap up about AI ethics especially for lawyers and law students, maybe at the end of after the question and answer section. I wish I could have speak to it earlier on, but I think I'll do that. So you can also, like, for example, Microsoft Word have a voice feature that you can start dictating to Microsoft Word. If you think you don't want to write at all, that's one way, but try to put, when you think about some things, try to also put it down in writing. For example, there was a time I was in a bedroom and I was in the bedroom and I remember something and I quickly rushed out fast. I rushed out, I quickly go record it in a WhatsApp audio video. Like, and then later I listened to it and I'm able to transfer it, and I put down the thoughts later. And you can even record yourself, put down the thoughts later on and rewrite it. So that's another way to go about it. I hope I answered your two questions. Yeah, while we wait for the next speaker, I think I have one questions, two questions on the chat. How did you build your professional network? What advice could you give in making connection in the legal field? The question is, what is your good advice to students on balances extracurricular activities with academics? What could you be your advice on undergrad on approach to writing law articles? Okay, let's hear the speaker first and we'll come back to those questions. Mr. Ahmad Aribi.
I think the next here is Ahmad Babatunde.
Yes, he's my classmate and very good friend and colleague.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Please, can you hear me over there, please?
Yes, inshallah.
Yes. Firstly, let me commend Mr. Mubarak Raji for the wonderful presentation and the explanations he has given so far. I believe we've learned many things from what he has said. The contribution I just have somewhat is just an observation or maybe a comment on what we have been discussing. Firstly, is respect to someone talking about just the question he raised now with respect to how can you build your network or connection? And I think he has already answered that one way or the other with respect to putting yourself out there. But the only thing I just want to add is issue of teamwork. And he has also said something before that you don't need to feel inferior in whatever you are doing. But the most important thing is teamwork. I believe we have many levels. We find ourselves from level 1 to level 5 or whatever levels you are. One of the things I noticed among students, which we are also a victim of sin, is that we always find it difficult to relate with other members of our class, especially maybe if they are not from, maybe they are not our tribe, or because I don't feel like having anything to do with so person. So I think we need to work on that. That teamwork is so important. That connection within your class itself is so important. And I can say I'm one of those who benefited from that from day one until today. Because apart from the fact that we actually have our clique in the class, we also have some other members who they may not be your clique, but at the same time, you should always build on relating with them. So I think I will stop on that. Now, the second thing has to do with someone was asking about internship and at the same time, issue of experience as well as looking at the remuneration attached to it. Yes, we all have that mindset. In fact, we are all sentimental when it comes to remuneration. However, I can say the same thing that the first thing we need to work on is building our own profile, building our experience, working on achieving that experience part before we can start talking about remuneration. See, it is not everybody that is going to be lucky to be in a big firm or to be in other big organizations. However, wherever you are going to start from, as I have said before, put yourself out there, walk through that level and be known in wherever you find yourself. As you build that experience, it will also open more doors for you. In fact, you will get to a place that they will not be the one poaching for you that we actually need so person. I don't need to mention him. There is someone from the university there that even in my own law firm, even though the person is not there, many lawyers in the firm, apart from the principal, they know him. How did they know him? Is because he's always putting himself out there. They always come about saying his article and other things online. In fact, we have used some of what he's putting out there to address some alien or gray area of cases that come our way. So that's one, that's the second part. Then the last thing I want to say is also finding your niche. See, when you are in the university, as we all understand, many people may not have that career path. But at the same time, as Mr. Mubarak has said, we should please try and put all effort in all the subjects or the courses or whatever skills we find ourselves. Reason being that as you are progressing in life from each stage, that career path, gradually you will start knowing whether or not this is your own path. And he has said it, we can all not be on the same page. Some people will be litigators. Some people, there is one popular lawyer when it comes to criminal law in Nigeria. He just became senior advocate, I think, last 2 years. He said,
Olalekan Ojo,
no, I'm not even talking about that one. I think he just became senior advocate recently. Rotimi Jacob, when it comes to all these popular EFCC matters. You understand? And others alike. But what I'm bringing out from it is that all these people, they may, some people will not even have what they are looking for until they get to a level in life. They will not be thinking that actually I think I can do better in this field. And the funny thing is that whatever we are all doing, the end result is that we are all looking for this money. Apart from the fact that you want recognition and other things, we are actually looking for this money, and at the same time to have our niche that when it comes to that field, I should be the one they are calling. And they have said, another person said the issue of whether or not litigation, you should go to litigation lawyer when it comes to this, or you should not give it to litigation lawyer, especially startup issue. See, litigation is not all about going to court, because I believe that's the mindset many people always have. I would say, when I started my practice, yes, full litigation. But as of today that I'm talking to you, I'm not that inclined to be going to court. Why? Because anytime you get to court, it's either the court is not sitting or otherwise. But at the same time, you also have everything to put out there. It is not a must you must go to court. See, part of litigation is for you to be able to even address the case at the beginning stage. It's not about taking it from the level of filing your processes until you get judgment. Sometimes at the end of the judgment, those clients will let us see that what's even the essence of getting the judgment in the first place when I cannot even benefit from anything. So part of your litigation is for you to be able to prepare a very strong defense, for example, or a strong claim, for example, that will even lead to negotiation or out of court settlement. So litigation is not all about going to court or only doing court stuff. So these are things we need to work on, and I believe we have many parts. Yesterday, I was saying it in one of these BRIPAM program I attended, that see, this is a field that many people may not even know about. Or some people actually know about it, and they don't even know that there is a lot of achievement or a lot of way you can make it in this BRIPAM. How? It is not as if all of them are going to court. What are you going to be? Maybe a liquidator, a receiver manager. The only thing you are doing is to settle what is it called, debt. So you are not actually going to court, or you are not doing litigation in this field. So when it comes to law, we have 1,000,001 areas that you can find yourself. So we need to work ahead and build our own career and our profile so that we can have more opportunity out there for us. Thank you very much.
I'll start from where you stop. And you talked about BRIPAM. BRIPAM is like bankruptcy and insolvency practitioner or something like Nigeria. It's about bankruptcy and insolvency. And I recall very well, you know, those guys, they are funny people. If they settle, for example, now you have a bankruptcy issues and his loan is sent to AMCON, for example, and let me give a scenario, sent to AMCON, and they will write you, your loan is sent to AMCON has hired them, do you want to negotiate? And if they can able to negotiate and get you to repay that loan, even without going to court, like they are, sometimes you even get up to like 20%. And like with a one letter or two, when your loan is going to AMCON, bankruptcy, they are coming after your company, they are going to take over your property, everything you have in life, they will take it over. You see the risk in it, and it's like, okay, let me take a payments plan. Funny thing is that now, maybe like we're talking about 500 or a billion naira, and it's like, okay, let me take a payment plan, I'll be paying you 100 million every month, or 100 million every year with so interest rate and all, or like any kind of agreement you get, like, and like, okay, I'll pay you in 5 batches or in 4 batches, like 250 million every quarter. Interestingly, that on that 250 million, they'll collect percent on it throughout. And that's why you see insolvency lawyers, they are rich. All the insolvency lawyers I've known in Nigeria, they are rich. They are super rich. And that's just bankruptcy and insolvency. That's one aspect of law you can do. And one thing I just remember when I was talking was like about negotiation and arbitration. You see, building negotiation skills is also very good. How to negotiate. You'll be able to sit down and negotiate. Some people, that's what they do in their life. They are contract negotiators. They negotiate for complaints. They bargain for complaints. That's what they do. And they collect their quiet money. You can be an arbitrator. It's an advocacy style of things, like, but like it's an alternative dispute resolution aspect. But like you can be a negotiator, you even settle dispute between 2 people. So there's some of the things you can do. Like that, it's endless. I can't even list everything. It's endless. It's endless. So thank you very much, Mr. Ahmad Ari B. Interestingly, he worked with Mr. Jalilu Nihoko SAN, and he's one of those guys that save us from the Emefiele Naira CBN's crunch. He's one of those brilliant Anthony's that save us from that crunch at the Supreme Court. It's a very brilliant Anthony. So it's not, yeah. So thank you so much for that. So I tried to share a link on WIPO on IP where you can learn more about intellectual property. WIPO is World Intellectual Property Organization, and if one of the best resources you can get from them. Also, you can get resources on Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, EDX. Which other organizations does Simply Learn? Which other organization again? There is this one, even YouTube. You can learn a lot of things on all these platforms. So, as Sister Shakira said earlier on, don't limit yourself to comfort come of classroom only. You also learn many places. You learn from everywhere. Now, I have 2 questions I want to attempt. Network. There are many ways to network. I say this thing. One of my greatest assets, and I say with all set of pride, and I tell people, is the people around me, including my classmates. There are a lot of things I've done in life that is people around me, like they give me the referral, or like they tell me, about it, and I pick it up from there. Obviously, I have the basic requirement, I have the entry level, like the basic qualifications myself, but like to get into the room, sometimes it's my network. And you don't have to be a big network sometimes. Start small, your classmates, your colleagues, they can fetch you many things. I won't tell you some other things. I can't go deeper because of privacy concerns. I don't get, but like some of my colleagues have get me into deeper places that I've never think of in my life. Just make classmates in bio, classmates in law school, classmates during masters, people that will attend classes together, people that will make conferences, people you meet online. Somebody hosted me when I went to DC. I met him on LinkedIn. He's a brilliant guy. He works just 5 minutes to the White House. He hosted me, like we went for dinner together, blah blah blah. It was not even intimate because he's going home to go eat with his family. Like, yeah, we went out, like we met on LinkedIn. Like I've seen him before on Facebook, blah 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 blah. But like we connected on LinkedIn and we build career like that. So you can build network from many ways, connection many ways. You can even start with your classmates. You can start with your class. Some people that you're in school together with, maybe they are your senior, and they will even get into bigger places before you, and they will bring you up. They will bring you into the system. So there is no. There are many, even you can meet in your mosque. Don't overlook that in your mosque. Like in your mosque, salam alaikum, salam alaikum. You can meet your video connection inside the masjid, inside the parking lot, when you are inside the transport. So that one is there. Balancing extracurriculum activities and learning. It's good to do extracurriculum activities because that's where you apply what you learn in the classroom and you also learn outside the classroom. But please balance it. One way to balance it is time management. I don't think I ever miss any class throughout my 5 years in Bayrou. I don't think so. If I miss, maybe 1 or 2, but I rarely, or like maybe because maybe I did not because I used to resume on time, so that's not even an issue, or maybe because they fixed the class I did not know. But it's very rare I miss a fixed class. It is very rare, and I still do extracurricular activities. So like you balance your schedules, you prioritize. This is when you're supposed to be in Oshogbo, be in Oshogbo. When you're supposed to be in Zaria, be in Zaria. When you're supposed to be in Samaru campus of ABU, be in Samaru. When you're supposed to be in Congo campus, be in Congo campus. Where you're supposed to be at the right time, be there. Time management is key in doing this, balancing these things. And for example, one way to help is start reading early. Don't wait till the deadline of when it's close to exam before you start reading. Some of us do that, but it's not so that good. We crash a lot. But like at the same time, but for example now, even though I read Bucky, everybody read Bucky towards exams, right? But for example, me, I read from the beginning of the class, like I follow those class per syllabus, per this thing. Like at least I try to understand what it's talking about. Even if you tell me that to come and write everything about it, no, in the lecturer word, or like if maybe it's the lecturer that likes you writing in his own words. I may not have be able to do that, but like I know what he's talking about. I try to do that one. Like I know what, even you see me sleeping in class, even you see me put my head on the knocker, even you see me like, oh, being quiet, I try to know what they are talking about and try to know these things basically. Like try to know as you progress in any class, try to know what the lecturer is talking about. From there, you'll be able to learn a lot of things, and you can easily put more energy when exam comes. I know most students put more energy when exam comes. So that's one way to balance interdisciplinary life with, extracurricular, because like you, as you progress, you are doing it. And when you are doing extracurriculum, another thing is when you're a leader of an association, for example, we fix most bulk of things that will take our time to the beginning of the semester. We don't put them to the tail end of the semester, because when it's to the end of the semester, we have a like you have a lot of divided minds. You have a lot. For example, when I was the president of the association, I want to do our annual day. I try to put a day that is very early in the semester, so that by the time I'll be writing my exam, it's not affected. And like, so you have to plan it. It's mostly about time management. It's mostly time management. And you think probably you're struggling academically and you do with extracurriculum, you may want to reduce extracurriculum and improve your academics. It's just about time management most times. Writing law article, you may not know what to write upon, but like every year, every seconds, you will see something that is popping up, and you can write legal issues on it. You can even start from reading, going to Nigerian Weekly Law Reports, looking at the latest case. Try to comment on that case, looking at what the court gets right, what the court gets wrong, or like what the court right. Like you can start from somewhere, just one page something. You can start from one page, and from there you boom to a bigger pace. Like I know somebody on this chat that started like that. I've never met him before in my life. He had my WhatsApp number. We started probably online. We start talking and blah 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 blah. And I can say he's my mentee, and alhamdulillah, he's doing well for himself. We are praying for bigger things for him, but like at least he's on the right track. So that's one thing I just wanted to know. Any other questions? It seems times are fast spent. You can also build your network even via NextGen, which is important, because NextGen comes from people from diverse backgrounds, from different universities across the country, and you have experts coming to speak to you also from across the world. I can tell you for sure. I attended, I think, their finance section or like the consulting section. Someone's coming speaking from the UK. Have Nigerian experience, other European countries experience before even the UK, blah blah blah. Like all those kind of big things. So like you can also follow up with NextGen. Please, and this one I'm begging you, please. For NextGen, the law sections, we are trying to sustain it to see more people get involved. So please preach the gospel of NextGen to people from your universities. We want more people across board and all the kind of things. And if you feel free to ask me other questions, feel free to reach me out to me on LinkedIn. I may not be that social media person to like probably after August 1st, because I have a lot of deadlines. But like feel free to reach out. If I surely see it, I'll surely reach out to you. I'll surely respond, or like if I saw the notification in my email, I'll surely respond and give time to so much about it. So another time for those seeking externship, you can add emails of handles of partners when you mail the law firm. Yes. When you also are looking for internships, you can reach out to law firm partners, look out to associates, even copy them, CC them emails, because sometimes HR will not read those mails, but when you copy a partner, they'll look at those mails. That's our one star, but sometimes it can also go against you. So you have to like understand how those things work. So I don't know if any other people have other questions.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everyone who has joined in the session. Thank you so much for the speakers, everyone who has contributed one way or the other. We are so grateful for taking out time. We spent about 2 hours on this call, and I can see everyone has learned one or two things from this session today. I have learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir, for honoring our invitation. Thank you to the organizers of this program, NextGen. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having more sessions like this in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for attending, and may Allah continue to bless you, uplift you, put barakah in what you do, give you more insights in what you do, and more career progressions. We look forward to seeing more Muslim lawyers across Nigeria and every part of the world doing more greater things. It's even more easier for us so that I can easily call like, so sorry, I'm so person, I need something, you know, like those kind of things. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mubarak. Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. The whole idea of this is to have Muslim professionals doing very well, but we've discovered that we just don't have enough Muslims. So we're trying to just do what we can to put more in the pipeline. Thank you.